All right. Hey, guys. Welcome back to the Raised Hunting Podcast. I'm David Holder, and I'm joined today by my special guests, Warren and Easton Holder. But on top of that, we have a very special guest, and we're going to be talking I'll introduce Sam in just a second officially. But we're going to be talking about something that I think every hunter that I know is considering, and that is we're going to be talking about going out of the it's not out of the country. Feels like it is. We're going to be talking about going to Alaska and what it would take to do that. Sam's got some information that he's going to share with us. We're going to get down and dirty and give you everything that you might want to know about this. I think this is going to be an outstanding podcast because it's just it's kind of a bucket list thing for everyone. So, but before we get into that, we need to get Warren. You got some. I understand that the Spotify guys are like rocking this whole thing.
Yeah, Spotify guys, you guys have been crushing it. So shout out to you guys. It's really unfortunate that they kill it and we can't give them really any credit because it doesn't show us
we can petition
like their usernames
Spotify.
or anything. You guys, we're almost to 300 5-star reviews. I think it's like 4.98, but whoever gave the 1-1-star, screw that dude. You know?
Was it actually a 1-star or is it a 4-star?
Well, the only way I can see that we're at a 4.99 stars is somebody had to give 1-1. Well, I guess it could have been anything other than 5, but Why would that one person do that? They did that just to mess it up.
It was probably Easton.
No, he's pretty team podcast, but
most of the time.
Anyway, Spotify guys, appreciate you. Help us out. I think we only need like another 19 now or something, and we'll break 300 reviews on there. So that really helps us when you guys leave reviews. Apple, try to catch up. You've got about 150 to go on Apple. So,
well, I think that's also it's not as popular.
Spotify.
I'm an Apple guy, and I even listen to podcasts on Spotify.
Me
I
too.
listen to Apple Music and everything, and I hate Spotify, but that's what I listen to podcasts on.
I think Apple used to be like the one, though.
Well, they were the first one that came out with podcasts, and then Spotify hit the whole market with doing everything, and I think they've done a better
blew it
job.
up.
And then YouTube guys, of course, super loyal. Appreciate all of you guys, and we're starting to pick up some more of you. So this one, we're actually recording quite a few podcasts so that we're not having to be late anymore. And so this has only been out a day, and there's already 20-some people on YouTube. Jeremy Rupsick, appreciate you, brother. Adam Dabdowd, I think that's how it is. Appreciate you, brother. And we'll have to read these later, guys, when we don't have to make our guests wait. But I think people had a lot of opinions on the management one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so
well,
we
no
might even be able to
kidding.
dive into that again.
We knew everybody would have opinions on that.
Yeah, most people agree, though, that they're like, it's almost impossible to get them to 6 or 5, even for that matter. William Ayers, SP4TT, Eric S007, Mailman 000. It's a great episode. Summed up.
That's
by
Warren's dad.
Houston and what take deer makes you happy.
Did you say the milkman?
Have you looked at the two of us and looked at you?
That's fair. Maybe it's my dad.
What do you weigh there, milkman?
Whatever.
165.
178. Don't cut me short.
Byron Brown, 3319, appreciate you. Jake Rotman, 7803, says the best podcast yet. And thank you, David, for introducing yourself. So this is David, and then there's Warren.
I did that
and then
today.
Easton.
I thought
you
you've been doing
today?
good about that.
I thought I had to.
B&B, Custom Game Calls, Eric Obars, 1209, Butch Beard, 6311, Bucky Doe Downer, 9040, and The Chase, 810. He said, for future reference, his name is Brock. We appreciate it, Brock. You should put that in your YouTube thing, though, so that we can remember, because that will be difficult. I have a hard time remembering my own name sometimes. So Butch Beard 6311 said, another great podcast, guys. I shoot what makes me happy because the property around me, they shoot everything. Question for you, though. How do I know what size of lighted nocks do I need to order?
I got you, my man. All you need to do is either find on our website the special tab called size chart. It may be on there, but there's a lot of arrows I don't have on there because there's so many out there. So check out the inside diameter on that sucker. If it's 204, we got it. If it's 246, we got it. So those are the two most common ones. Otherwise, just shoot me an email at contact@raisedhunting.com. That was
or you could shoot us a message on our store. So that should also bring up the fact that please leave reviews, and we sell lighted
Knox.
and
Raise cents.
deer sense, and
Raised canine products for your tracking dogs.
Or any
Or your
dog
duck
for that
dogs.
matter. Yeah.
or even your couch dogs.
What up, dog?
Yeah, we all know some of your couch dogs could use some health incentive for them to get out and get their joints moving a little bit. We got you covered.
There you go.
But not for dogs.
All right.
You know what I mean?
If we can get these guys wrangled together, I want to make a formal induction. So,
Induction?
Introduction.
Hall of Fame.
There you go.
So-
I was gonna say, where are you going?
Introduction. I apologize. Sam Beavers is with us today. Sam, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let you talk about your business a little bit real quick, because what your background is and why we picked you to come in here and talk about what we're talking about. And we'll get into where you're leaving in just a few days. I think you said 10 days, right?
Yeah, August 4th.
Gotcha.
We got
So,
you at a good time then.
Yeah, perfect.
yeah. So a little bit about yourself, Sam. Let's go.
Right, yeah. Well, thanks for having me, first of all. You
Yeah,
know, I've listened to you
absolutely.
guys for a while. My dad has been friends with you guys for, 10 plus years
Long
probably.
time.
Yeah. I grew up in a little town west of Des Moines. Got into guiding right out of high school. I went to a wildlife college in Africa and got a dangerous game guiding degree. Got
You
my
can do
PhD.
that at college?
Yeah, yeah.
That's freaking cool. I would have gone for that.
The one thing I would have gone to college for.
It was at the Southern African Wildlife College in South Africa. It's in the middle
Oh.
of the Kruger National Park. It's like 2 million acres with a 10-acre college right in the middle.
So
And
you had
it's
to
in the
go
middle of
over there.
Cougar National Park.
Yeah, lions and hyenas and everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
You're such an idiot.
The best college experience ever.
I think it's Kruger, not Cougar.
It was funnier as Cougar.
Yeah. So did that right out of high school.
What does that consist of? The curriculum of
So
a
it
big
was,
game degree.
so it was. We lived on campus. We had little dorms, and there was 10 of us that were selected to be on this course. Me and one other guy based out of Nashville were the first 2 Americans they selected to be on this course.
Wow.
That's cool.
Which was
Good
pretty
for
neat.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Did
was,
you like put in for it or submit?
it was
to
like
it,
a
or-
25-page application, and then I had a couple on the phone interviews with the directors of the program, and he called me up actually on my birthday in September and said, "Hey, can you be here like January 6th?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, pack your bags. We're gonna let you come try this out and see what happens." So flew over there, and I was there for like 7 or 8 months the first year go around, and it was the morning time was we were in class, the 10 of us, learning everything from the ecology to rocks and formations and just everything you could possibly imagine. And then it got in, as the course progressed, we'd go out in the afternoons and do game drives when we'd take what we learned in the morning. What kind of buffalo are you looking for? Leopards, lions, elephants. We had to do like 3 dangerous game approaches within 30 meters to qualify for this dangerous game guiding degree, because we were going to have rifles and everything. So did that for 3 months, and then I did 2 apprenticeships with 2 different lodges, a plains game lodge and then a dangerous game lodge in South Africa.
What's an approach? Like you just
like
have to walk
sneak
at
up
it or
on 'em.
something?
Like do an actual hunt, except we're not shooting them.
Did you have a gun just in case?
The instructors did. We carried
Okay.
they took I think it was a 375, and they put a laser at the end of it. So you had to get in close and just point this gun, act like you were going to shoot it, but it was a laser instead, and you had to put it in what they considered the kill zone.
That's cool.
Which
Yeah.
was
That's
it was really
really
neat. Yeah. The year before us, they actually had to shoot a buffalo that charged because he didn't like the laser, which was kind of. I wish it would
Made
have
it
happened.
real.
Great training experience
Yeah.
right there.
So the buffalo, like, where did they put the lasers that he saw? Like, he saw it on his buddy, or he like saw it on him and was like,
Well, so they had him broadside, and they put the laser on his shoulder. Well, then the buffalo turned and looked at him. He said, "Okay." The instructor said, "Okay, what are you going to do if this buffalo is charging you? Where are you going to shoot him?" And so he put the laser right between his eyes. And he must have glanced over his eyeball at some point, because that buffalo head, was all tore up, line scarred, and everything. And yeah, they shot him at like 7 steps. Which
That'll
was
do it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that'll
freaking
pucker the
temperamental.
So is this still going on? Is this still a program did they continue with the program?
Yep, they have the new program. All the instructors that I had have kind of moved on. Kevin Robertson, he's wrote a bunch of books on ballistics and animals and everything. He moved to Texas, actually got out of Africa, moved to Texas, so he's no longer involved. But they still do the program and everything. So any 18-year-old kids out there want to go to Africa, it's not a bad little gig.
how many year degree is that?
It's I was only there for 3 months, but they have an 18-month program that you can do. And that will actually get you your professional hunting license in South Africa. But South Africa changed their laws in like 2016, I believe, to where you have to be a South African resident to get the license. So I have all the paperwork that says, yes, you can be a PH, but I can't get the license because I'm not
living there.
I'm not living there.
Gotcha.
Right. So I did that, and then ended up going to Tanzania, and I have my professional hunting license in Tanzania. That was another 3-year apprenticeship, living in the wilds. I mean, about the wildest place on earth, lions walking by, elephants, hippos, everything. Spent 3 summers doing that, got my license there, and then during COVID was able to go up to Alaska just because I couldn't get to Africa, and spent 2 years as an apprentice in Alaska, and then got my license a couple of years ago, and this will be my 3rd season as a guide up there, assistant guide up there.
I knew we picked the right guy.
Good Lord.
Yeah, we'll have to have you come back sometime and talk about Alaska specifically. But today we're going to talk about Africa specifically. Yeah. Today I want to target Alaska.
Right.
I didn't know Kamala Harris had ever been to Tanzania.
A hippo?
Yeah.
We'll leave it.
I'll go ahead.
We're leaving that in.
I'll go ahead and apologize for anything that you might hear on this podcast.
Everybody's considering whether we need to cut and come back in.
Oh, they're all for it. We know our audience by now.
Yeah. Well, cool. So, Sam, so you get to the point where a few years ago, now it's getting to be quite a few years ago, as we get farther away from COVID, you're now looking at Alaska and started working and doing stuff there. So that's what I wanted to quiz you on today. It seems like we get a lot of podcast listeners, a lot of people, reach out to us on social media asking about going on hunts. And it could be anything from white-tailed deer, turkeys, hogs. Alaska is one that comes up, and we can answer a lot of that stuff, but it's crazy. I've been to every state. I've been to Hawaii, but the only state that I've not been to is Alaska.
Well, and I know moose is at the top of your bucket
list. Yeah, it is.
Right?
It's number one.
Well, let's do it. Come on.
All right, well, maybe today will talk me into it. I mean, that's so part of it was me like wanting to quiz someone myself, and then as I started thinking about it, I was like, if I'm asking these questions, I know other hunters are,
right?
And how do you do it and things like that. So
yeah,
you have 49 of the 50 states.
Yeah, I've been not hunting in them, but I've been to every single one of them, except for Alaska.
You're probably like 25 already.
No, I'm over 30.
Okay, see?
Yeah, I'm at like 34.
And he's...
Yeah, but 49, that's impressive.
You're at 34 at 24 years old.
Okay, anyways.
Yeah, so, all right, so, I have
a question.
Okay.
So did you not like Africa, or like what made you decide that, what was the plan? Like when you went there, were you deciding that I'm going to be a guide for the rest of my life, or like, did you know what you wanted to do yet?
Yeah, that was kind of the plan, and I'll take a little bit of step back. I won a safari when I was 16 to South Africa, and that kind of started this whole thing. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. My dad's a farmer.
I was going to ask, how did you even find out about this?
It was through Safari Club International, and,
okay.
And actually AJ, our mutual friend, he kind of got me started in all this. But I went over there. I was like, I'm going to be a professional hunter in Africa or be a guide or something, and just kind of. I met the right people and had the right connections, and it just has seemed everything's fallen into place for me. And I haven't been bitten, scratched, or run over yet, so I must be doing something right.
So do you still guide in Africa?
I haven't been over there in a couple of years. It's just hard to get over there, and I'm getting married, so that's
yeah.
And I used to guide for like 10 months out of the year.
Need to get rid of this
freaking fly.
Yeah. And it's kind of slowed down a little bit.
Has COVID made it more difficult to get back into Africa too?
It did. Africa never really, there was a few countries that shut down, but the biggest problem was the airlines.
Yeah.
You had to get a COVID vaccine to get on the airplane, and
you freaking lint liquor.
Made it very difficult to get over there.
Right.
And it's...
Well, because you can't even get
that was impressive. Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, for anyone that can't see, Easton just killed a fly. We had one fly in the studio, and he was all over all of us.
You can't ship lions back or anything now, right?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, you can?
Well, I thought they made it where you couldn't get them in the States.
All right, would you hold on? You're taking this whole thing down the road we don't want to go yet. We want to save that one.
Oh, yeah, we need to focus on America.
Else. Okay, sorry.
America.
Just asking what made him go to Alaska instead of Africa.
He answered that already. COVID.
It was COVID.
Okay.
Yeah, I just couldn't get over
it. You just need to listen.
I am listening.
You're a bad listener.
Questions.
Okay.
I could listen more if you'd stop talking.
So onward.
All right. So getting back to Alaska. So you've been up there for how many years now? How many seasons? This is going to be your third?
This will be my fifth.
Fifth.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep. So
what are you primarily hunting for up there when you go?
Moose and bear.
Moose and bear.
And
What kind of bear?
They're grizzlies.
Okay.
But we're right at that. We're right at that line to where if that bear crosses the river, they could technically be a brown bear.
Oh, whoa.
So
we are going to have some fun today because I have questions
So
now.
when you say hunting, you're guiding for, or you're hunting yourself
No,
too, or
guiding.
Guiding.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So I started out 2 years as an apprentice to get an assistant guide license in Alaska, which means that I work for an outfitter. It's 60 days in the field, and it's got to be split into 2 different seasons. So 30 days in one season, 30 days in the next season. And then you can get your assistant license, which means I can take guys out hunting. I can't book an actual hunt, but I could take, you guys out on a hunt.
What's the difference in the seasons?
So like this year would be the season starts, let's just say August 1st. That's when some of the units open. And then that would go until the following spring, so 2025 spring. And that would be one season.
Okay.
And then the next season would be the following August.
And that goes continually that long, or they're just saying like the spring season and the fall season, they're just counting it as one?
Got to be two different
Okay.
years, basically. So it would be 2024, and then you could do it again in the fall of 2025.
Okay.
You'd have to have 30 days, 60 days total.
Okay. I'm with you.
That's not bad. I feel
Yeah.
like,
No,
especially if you're only there for a month or something.
Yeah. And
Month
it's
this year, month next year.
right.
But it would technically take you 2 years to get, right? Tom?
Correct.
Yeah.
To get your assistant license. Yep.
So my first question then is, Sam, so you're not necessarily an outfitter then. You're working with outfitters, is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of gear people toward, hey, you ought to look at this way to go or that way to go. Is that?
Yeah.
So I guess the question I have then is, we have another fly, Easton. He's found me.
I can smack your face if you
That's
want.
all right. So I'm going to get him. My question is, do you have different types of hunts that someone could book? Meaning, like, is there a combination hunt? Is there a drop camp hunt? And I'm only asking because I know of different guys that have done different things. And so however you want to attack that, how would someone go about picking the way they want to go?
Yeah, and that really depends. There's 26 units in Alaska. Okay. There's 5 different regions, which I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. They're just, the lines are kind of fuzzy with everything. But there's 26 units, and each unit has its own individual rules. So like the unit 18 where we're hunting is an any bull unit. So you can shoot any bull moose you want. Okay. Or like unit, let's just say 20A, it's got to be a 50-inch bull or brow tine restrictions. So every unit is different. If you just want to go first-time guy, I want to do DIY, do-it-yourself, float trip hunt. Yeah, I mean, I'd go to a unit where you're not going to be restricted by that because you don't know what a 50-inch bull looks like.
So that means that there is places you can go without a guide.
Correct, yeah. So
you're right.
Yep.
And pretty sure Glenn and them didn't have a guide. But
yeah, and so there's 13 recognized species in Alaska. The only ones you need technically a guide for are brown bears, grizzly bears, sheep, and goats.
Oh, so maybe that's what I had read was one of those 3.
why sheep and goats?
Just the legality of it. So sheep, you need
they got to have full curl.
Full
right?
curl,
And
8 years old, or be double broomed, which means they've shaved off the tips of their horns. And a normal guy's not going to, you're looking at a sheep from 3 miles away. Well, I think he's legal. Let's go walk over there and shoot him. Well, yeah, he may be full curl, but, he might be that much off, which then that's a ticket, and you can lose your hunting rights in Alaska for a while.
What's the qualification for goats?
hey, Nick, will you walk over and grab a fly swatter? I've had enough of this fly.
I'm not sure on goats exactly. I know it varies in different areas.
Yeah.
And I may be getting that all wrong. I've never been on a goat hunt, so I'm not going to sit here and lie to you about that.
And that's super steep, right? Like they're way up.
Yeah, they're higher than the sheep.
Jeez.
And sheep can be at 6,000 foot elevation, which may not seem like a lot to guys hunting out west, but when you're coming up out of a drainage at sea level, you got to climb 6,000 vertical feet, and you're doing it all on foot. It's not like you can get there in trucks or 4-wheelers or.
Is that as high as it gets?
Denali gets higher than that, but that's a national park. You can't even hunt that. Like in the Brooks Range up in the Arctic, it'll be 6,000, 7,000 feet.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that there was like some 10,000, 11,000 type mountain ranges.
Southern Alaska Denali, I think, gets that high. I'm not exactly sure how high that gets, but
Thank you.
Well, you got to think there too. That's flat out.
Yeah, from
6,000-7,000 straight up feet versus Colorado. You're starting at 7,000-8,000 feet.
Yep,
going to 11 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like all our moose hunts are basically at sea level.
Right.
We may climb 500 vertical feet to get to the top of a hill. And it's not really a mountain; it's a hill to glass from, but that's it. I mean, there's no elevation.
Huh.
So how many moose hunters do you book a year then typically?
I do 3 moose hunts a year.
Okay.
And the unit we're hunting in, and like I said, all units differ. Some units start August 1st and go till like September 25th, and then they close. And then there's the sustenance hunt, which is in like December and January, where you can go out and shoot 2 bulls, but that's only as a resident. So a non-resident guy wanting to go up there, the unit I'm hunting in is September 1st to October 1st. So 3 10-day hunts.
3 10-day hunts.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And you said there's no restriction on the size of the bulls that you guys are trying to kill.
Correct.
But is there an average that you guys are at, or is there something that you will tell a guy you would want to hold off? We don't want to shoot this bull, or does it matter? I mean, especially because I understand that the hunter may not care if he's like, I just want to kill a bull.
Right. I won't let my guys try not to let my guys shoot anything under 60, and pushing that 65 plus. And there's bulls in there. Like I passed some bulls last year that I can show you some pictures of that were like, you'd look at it and be like, why'd you pass that bull? And I got asked that, like, why would you pass that? I'm like, well, because the next drainage over was one that was bigger.
Gotcha.
Can you provide a little bit of like a frame of reference for, say, a whitetail guy? Like, what's a 60-inch bull? Like,
yeah, I can
like
use
100.
Well, he's got some pictures. He brought some pictures that he's going
Well,
to.
I'm just trying to put people people that are listening. Like,
right. 160-inch deer would be like a 60-inch bull.
Okay.
150. Depends on the area with the moose too.
Because that's probably quite a bit more accurate with moose, as far as like you could just go off of the spread, because they're not getting tine length measurements and everything else. Where
correct.
Like a deer, you could say he's 18 inches wide, and that's really not going to give you any idea of what.
So what would be like a true score, like a score you'd put in the book?
So it's Boone and Crockett measurement.
And paddle width and length
is every, yeah. So
and
Boone and Crockett's 224.
Oh.
So you take the overall width.
Yeah.
And then you take each individual paddle, and you take the width of the paddle, straight line across the back, and then from top to bottom across the back. So if you have a bull, he may have super long fronts, but they're not palmated. So you take that shortest measurement, and then you get one mass measurement at the bases, and then you count each individual point. You don't get a length on that point.
It's
just a point. 1 point's 1
1
point.
inch,
Yeah.
basically. Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. So that's pretty simple to score them then. I've always been confused because people refer to them as that's a 50-inch bull or 60-inch bull, and then I know the books is like it's 180, 200,
right?
And I've never.
Well, it's also opposite.
So it's like
everything
lingo?
else, because it's not inside.
Yeah.
Spread. It's widest.
Versus outside to outside, and people get confused. Well, this point out here sticks out farther, and this point down here sticks out farther. Well, no, you have to take the straight line across. And that's the only, you got to let them dry, obviously, but that's the only way to score it. So you go up there and you shoot a 64-inch bull. Well, you measure it at an angle. That's really a 60-inch bull.
Yeah.
But that's, I get a guy that shows up in camp. All right, Easton, what are you looking for? Well, I'm looking for a 65-inch bull. Okay, great. Do you want him to have big fronts? I don't care. You want him to be flat on top, or you want him to have points going out everywhere? I don't care. Okay, well, yeah, then we're going to pass a lot of bulls. You're looking for that 65-inch bull. Yeah, you're going to get mad at me because you're going to see, well, that's the moose I want. Well, no, he's not quite what you want.
Yeah, that's why I'd be walking in there and say, if you give me the green light, I'm shooting.
Right.
Well, I got more questions, but I mean,
are these mostly archery hunts or gun hunts?
Majority gun.
Okay.
I did have an archery hunter last year. We shot his bull at 10 yards.
Nice.
Which was gnarly. Yeah.
Call it in or snuck up on it or what?
We'd seen him the day before, and I got a pretty cool picture. We're standing there at like 60 yards, and he's like, how big is he? I was like, he's low 60s. I was like, he doesn't have the fronts you want. He's like, okay, well, let's pass him. We'd seen a bigger bull in the next drainage over, and get up the next morning, and that bull's gone, and this bull's bedded like 600 yards right below us. I'm like, he's like, can we go shoot that bull? I was like, yeah, we can go shoot that bull. We get halfway over there, and bull stands up and goes down the drainage. So we stand there and call him, and he comes walking right up 10 yards, and he was walking right at us, so we had to wait for him to quarter just a little bit, and he slipped that arrow in right behind his shoulder.
That's awesome.
160 yards tipped over.
Is that what time is their rut?
September.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's when you're calling to them and stuff?
Yeah. Beginning of September, so we have the 3 10-day hunts. Beginning first 10 days of September, they're just getting their velvet off. They're still kind of bachelor herded up. Second 10 days, the 10th through the 20th, they're starting to gather their cows, their harems, and everything. And
oh, wow. So
going.
It's within the month.
Yeah.
They lose their velvet to...
Yep. And start
Holy
running.
cow, that is quick.
So you could possibly kill one in velvet?
Yeah, I know a couple guys who've shot some with a little bit of velvet, not full velvet, but velvet's still on it. Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
That'd be neat.
Yeah. And then the last 10 days is when they have their harems and they're kind of locked down.
Which is like what, their mate?
Yeah.
Okay.
They gather a harem.
And that's the last 10 days of September?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they'll wait to, they'll breed mid-October.
Okay.
Those bulls are so
so
wore
they
out
actually
from
get
fighting.
to know each other a little bit
bit,
before they get her going.
Yeah.
I appreciate Moose a little bit more now.
Right. And, the harems vary. We saw harems of 2 or 3 cows to where we shot a bull last year. He had 17 cows with him.
Oh, so he can have more than one. So maybe he's not that considerate. Okay.
Only you guys would turn a moose hunt into something sexual.
The moose are making it sexual.
Yeah, they are.
Every other bull is around there rooting for these guys. Shoot him.
Get rid of Frank. I'm ready.
He must be a badass.
Yeah. Those big
What's it
bulls are
sound like
gnarly.
when they fight?
It's
Does it sound anything like elk or deer?
louder.
Is it like a different density to it?
Depends. It really depends. You get some bulls that get so gnarled up with when they're raking, so they have like sticks and shit all over their language. But
Oh, you're good.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's when it's happening.
I was going to say, you're talking about 60 inches, 70 inches wide. You're talking about almost 2 feet thickness, across, and 2,000 pounds going at each other.
Yeah.
I don't understand those. They don't break, especially with how they're laid out like that.
I've got a photo. We had an 11-year-old kid last year shot one with a broken tine.
See, that makes more sense to me.
Yeah, and
like
we
that'd be
actually
expected.
Yeah, we actually did watch 2 bulls. And they were crankers. They were big bulls locked up, and
See?
That's the second day in a row I've heard the word cranker. I've never heard anybody refer to big things as crankers.
it is a cranker. Yeah.
All right.
But one of the bulls, they got locked up, and one of them ended up dying.
They get locked up
See, that's
too?
what I don't understand is how they get locked up.
It's when
Because their antlers, it just doesn't seem like they should be getting locked up.
well, those fronts get up underneath each other,
Okay.
and then they get locked up, like that, and they just don't realize that if they drop their heads, and then they just kind of slid out. They're animals. Yeah, they're not smart as
that
we
is
so
think.
not
they're
as-
not locked up to where they can't get undone. They just don't realize that they need to drop their head.
No, they
So they're dumb.
moose are extremely. They're not smart animals, but they are smart animals. No, but we watched one bull get his neck broke.
They need to be forklift certified.
I
Killed
don't know.
him?
Yeah, killed him.
How did he break his? That's a lot
Locked
of
up.
force.
Yeah, they were locked up, and that one bull just kind of, the bull that was standing up drove the other bull's head into the ground, and then just kind of, it snapped just like that.
Was he way bigger than the other one?
No, they were similar size. They were both that low 60s, mid 60s type of bulls.
So, and that unit is not. There's no restrictions.
No restrictions.
So it doesn't seem to make that much of an impact on quality there.
So that's the guided side of it. The DIY stuff, they're down in the swamps, which is harder to hunt. You're hunting around lakes and
So DIY guys can't go to the guided side.
no.
Okay,
Those guys are paying a lot more money to be on that in that pristine prime area.
Gotcha.
but that's
Yeah.
public land, right?
It's all public.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like 2.2 million acres that we get to play on.
But
Jeez.
but let me clarify, because I think what you're saying is, I think the way I understand this is, because in Montana it's not that way. And what I mean that is, if an outfitter says, okay, I want this area and this unit,
Right.
and he gets that, does that mean nobody else can hunt there? No public people, residents, or anyone can hunt that area, or can they still hunt there? But he's the only outfitter that can be in that area.
Correct. So that's another side of it too, where a guide can get an exclusive guide use area.
Okay.
And that's certain units. The unit we are in, Unit 18, is not like that. So you're a resident up there. You could fly in on the next mountain range, 3 miles
be able to
away
hunt.
and hunt. Yeah.
Right.
If you have an airplane or a boat, you can get into any of these areas. And there's certain laws, and you can't be within like 2.5 miles of another hunter, or else that's a hunter harassment type of thing.
Gotcha.
Start calling our
anybody can be in
neighbors.
there.
Yeah.
See, but
You need to move your house.
well, Montana was that way. Montana was the same way, meaning you could, if an outfitter was hunting on the public land, which they could do, and they were the only outfitter that could be in there, but they couldn't. But I, meaning a resident, could also be hunting there, and it was okay. But now there was no restriction on having to stay away from each other.
Right.
You know, it was just you're going to. And the reason I asked that question, I want to make sure I clarify for our viewers, is if you ever go on one of these hunts and you see someone, it's possible you could see someone. It's just not like common. You're not going to see a whole bunch of people probably.
You'll see airplanes flying over. You know, some guy who's just checking drainages in his airplane. I mean, that's perfectly legal. Yeah, he may spook some moose, but those moose are not going to go that far that time of year.
Right.
You may get some of those younger bulls that are kicked out that are traveler, but that's not the type of bull you want to shoot. I mean, you're looking for that big matriarch type of bull.
So the DIY side then, are those bulls comparable to the guided side, or are they quite a bit smaller? Or
they can be. There was like a 72-inch bull that was shot by a DIY hunter. Biggest bull of the season last year came from a DIY camp.
Okay.
But most of the time, you're getting a guy in there who doesn't know the difference between a 50 and a 60-inch bull.
Are they even having that much success though?
Oh yeah, it was 93% success. But you're also getting guys that are shooting 2-year-old moose.
Right.
Okay.
It's their first set of horns, but they don't care. I mean, they're getting 800 pounds of meat that they're bringing home.
And there's just that many moose that it's not that hard to find them.
Yeah. If you're patient, and it's very weather depending. Moose don't like the wind. They don't care about the wind or the rain, but it's the wind that bothers them the most. Especially those big bulls. You get a 40-mile-an-hour wind, he's going to lay down all day till that wind breaks, and then he's going to stand up and feed right where he's at. Wind kicks back up, he's going to lay right back down.
So the DIY side then, are those guys, well, as far as, so are you guys, when you guys are hunting on your stuff on the guided side, are you ever even really seeing other people or not at all?
No, hardly ever.
How many moose are you seeing a day?
Oh. We saw 70 one day probably last year.
70 moose. Holy cow, that's way more than I would have expected.
I was thinking like 5,
yes.
No. 7.
The areas we're at, I mean, it's loaded with, it's some of the best moose hunting in the world, you know, next to Russia, which you can't hunt, but the bulls we're pulling out of that area.
You can't hunt Russia at all?
Well, I wouldn't.
As an American?
As an American.
But do they hunt over there?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
You may not come back.
Is it cheaper to go to the Russian side?
See, I don't know about that. Probably.
You could just swim over there if you needed to.
No, we're not that far from Russia.
Or wait till it freezes and walk over. It connects, doesn't it, in some places?
Yeah.
If it's frozen well enough, you can walk to
frozen,
Russia.
You could probably walk to Russia. I don't know. I wouldn't want to.
Watch out, Vladimir.
I don't think he's concerned.
He's not.
No, he's not by. Well, he should be Little Button Man.
Yeah.
Little.
Yeah. Okay, Dad, get into some of your questions for somebody who wants to go hunt.
He's answered a bunch of them already. I mean, how many days? It's a 10-day hunt.
Correct.
Now, a guy has to plan on how many days of travel?
I would say 14 to 16 days.
That meaning the total of the trip. So add 2 days to the front of it, 2 days to the back of it.
Yep.
And then what happens?
And that's driving or flying?
You got to fly. Unless you want to be in the car for 40 hours.
Yeah.
To where we're moose hunting, there's no way to drive. You have to get a flight out of Anchorage, and it's like a 90-minute flight from Anchorage to Bethel, where we're doing our hunts at.
On a float plane or something?
And then you guys pick them up in Bethel then?
Yeah, so the airport there's 2 flights out of there, and it's like a plane that you take from Des Moines to Chicago. You know, sits like 90 people.
One,
yeah.
And then you get in a bush plane? Or?
Yep.
Okay.
Our staff will meet you at the airport, take you to the hangar, let you get dressed and everything. And something else for guys to think about is you're limited to 50 pounds of gear.
That was on my list.
Yeah.
So
it's
for
not a lot.
16 days, or I guess 10 days.
Alyssa.
She's not.
You're not going to Alaska.
She's in your office.
She'll have 50 pounds of snacks.
Every day.
She could not do it. No way.
No.
Well, and that's that's personal gear, the food and the tents and everything. If you do a guided hunt or an unguided but fully outfitted hunt, they'll provide you with the food and everything, the tents, all that kind of stuff.
So if you were going on your own, you had to try to get your tent, everything, all under 50 pounds?
No. So that's just personal gear. That's not camp gear.
Okay. I was like, how is that even possible?
Yeah, it's not.
It seemed to be.
You're not going to Alyssa. You're not going to Alaska.
You can only take 50 pounds of personal gear for 14 days.
So you couldn't eat. That was just fact of it is you wouldn't be able to eat anything. Yeah.
Snack bag.
It's great for me.
Okay, so
she says that's heartbreaking for anybody who didn't hear.
I just got a 50% discount on that.
Yeah, you did.
So you mentioned units and zones. Okay, so and you said 26 of them.
Yep.
Okay, if there's 26, does someone have to put in for those, or is it a guaranteed draw?
Every unit's different.
Okay.
Depending on what part of Alaska you're in. Yes, there is a draw, and I can't tell you the specifics about each and every one, but yeah. Not so much for moose. It would be like the bison or the elk or the muskox or the bears. The moose is pretty much you apply to a unit, you could get a tag. Like there was 18,000 moose hunters last year, non-resident moose hunters last year.
Meaning there's a pretty much dang good chance you're going to get a moose tag if that's okay.
Does that mean you're going to have a guide that can take you though?
Nope.
If you're going with a guide?
No.
Okay. So then how, like, let's just say I'm going to book a hunt with you.
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to, when do I put in? And then how far out in advance are you able to book me? Like, does it 2025, 2026? Like, when would, let's just say, for instance, that I want to go moose hunting with you right now. When's the earliest that you could take me?
3 years.
3 years?
In my camp, it'd be 3 years.
Okay.
And it's an over-the-counter tag, so it's an $800
so you're
tag.
Okay, so that one
yeah.
I'm going to get it then, no problem.
Yep.
Just would buy it at that time.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
What about the other ones? Like, what's the most time it could take to get a moose tag? Like, is there like one where it's like takes 5 points, or and is it a point system, or is it just
Every unit's different. Like I can't tell you specifics on it. Some units are I mean it's a draw, and it could take you 5-10 years, depending on the unit.
do you know if they have like a bonus point or preference point system?
I do not.
Oh, he's awful.
I'm just trying to get as much information for people.
Yeah, you just restructure the question and hopes for a different answer.
Sometimes it helps.
Okay.
All right. So you answered about the units and
I'm
whether
good
to
with
put in.
over-the-counter.
So basically, the best thing for someone to do is talk to an outfitter who, if they're gonna DIY, they're gonna have to do their own research and figure out what zone they can get a tag.
Right.
If they're going to go through an outfitter, work with that outfitter. He'll tell you what zone to put in for,
Right.
and what year he'd be able to take you on that hunt.
Correct.
Okay, but now I know this happens sometimes that you guys have cancellation hunts.
Mm-hmm.
Someone can't go.
Right.
Can you tell us how those work?
A lot of them are put out on forums. Like Rock Slide is a great, outfitters post on there, and there's a couple different companies out there that will send you emails. Hey, we had a cancellation hunt.
Okay.
It's an over-the-counter tag. You got 6 weeks. Do you want to do it?
Is it discounted?
It is.
Okay.
And it depends on price too. If you want to go on a moose hunts range from $20,000 to $40,000. How much do you want to spend on a hunt may determine what unit you want to go to. And then it goes back to, do you want that limit of the 50-inch rule, or do you want to go to an any bull unit?
Right.
I mean, it just really depends. And there's a ton of information out there.
What?
Before we get too much into the guided side again, then would you recommend anybody doing a DIY hunt for their first time in Alaska? And if so, what would you say to that person's qualifications on experience in the wilderness needs to be before they go do that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a very good chance that you don't come home from one of these hunts.
So you would not recommend for somebody to go do a DIY hunt on their own first time?
A guy from the Midwest who's never hunted out west, I mean, it'd be very difficult for me to look them in the eye and promise them that they're making the right decision.
What about a guy that's experienced hunting out west, but Montana, Colorado, Wyoming?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you could get away with it, but you need to do a lot of research beforehand.
Because it's still got to be way different than
Oh.
Montana or anything like that.
It's nothing comparable to the lower 48.
Basically, intellectually, you should probably try to find a guide.
I would think so.
Just about anybody.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to the hard question though, because I know
Hold
that's
on here real quick.
That's
I guess I
probably
just thought of
biased,
another
though.
question.
He's just
I'm
trying to
sorry.
make sales.
Yeah.
Well, let's just. I think honestly, I'm going to guess. How much would it cost you to go do it yourself, anyways?
10 to 15 grand.
Okay.
So you might as well. Holy
You might. Yeah,
shit.
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's what I wanted. That was what my next question was. Can you compare? Because so here I used to outfit and guide in Montana for elk, and I would tell people all the time that guys would come up and say they were from somewhere back east. Man, I want to go elk hunting, but I just can't afford it. So I'm going to go to Colorado, buy an over-the-counter tag, and I'm going to do it myself. And then I would run into them, or I'd meet their buddy who's like, yeah, I've been doing it for 3 years. I haven't seen an elk yet.
Right.
I haven't heard one yet. But a guy in the next drainage, he shot a cow. And I'm like, okay, so you're not really getting to experience an elk hunt. What did you spend on that hunt
Right.
and doing it year after year, you got 3 or 4 years now, you probably just could have saved your money, put that in and said, I'm going to go with an outfitter. Do that first.
Right.
Learn what's going on, and then take that knowledge and then apply it to going to do it yourself after that.
Right.
That is the way I've tried to tell people. And I mean, we're talking, guys, I was a firefighter. I mean, I don't have this an absorbent amount of money or anything like that. I was just looking at it financially or fiscally and said, I would be far better ahead by paying the outfitter price one time as opposed to trying to DIY it multiple times. And typically DIY hunts just are not as fruitful as what it is when you're going with someone who knows the area.
Right.
And in this case, it's a life-saving type thing because I haven't even got to the question that about what do you do when you get stuck, you know, because everyone, if you aren't familiar with Alaska, I know of multiple people who have hunted there that have either been stuck in camp or stuck not being able to get to camp because of weather.
Correct.
So let's talk money first. What you just mentioned, anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000. Is that's for a hunt?
For a guided hunt. Yep.
For a guided hunt.
And depends on the area, depends, how much are you willing to spend? If you only want to spend $25K, you need to go into it with the mindset, I'm not going to necessarily shoot a 60-inch bull. You may have to settle for a 50-inch bull, which is great. If that's the one moose hunt you're going to do in your life. I mean, how many guys in Iowa do we know that have a 50-inch bull on their mantle?
Right.
One. Yeah, not very many.
I know one's got like a 70 something.
Yeah.
Right.
But he's like the only one I know that moves.
Yeah.
Well, so let's just make this easy. For your guys's, what's the cost?
To hunt with me in my camp's $43,500.
Okay, and is that archery or rifle or same for both?
Same for both.
Okay.
Yep, either or.
Okay, so
And that's a
42,000.
10-day hunt.
10-day hunt.
2 days to get there, 2 days to get back, roughly.
Right.
Okay. What does that include? Like, does they still have to buy their license on top of that?
Yep. So on top of that, you'd have your plane tickets to Bethel, which it's a $500 ticket one way roughly to Anchorage, and then it's about a $200 ticket to Bethel. So you're $1,200 in round trip for plane tickets.
Okay.
Then you got getting your meat home, the horns, all that kind of stuff, which is another added cost. And I was actually talking to a guy that hunted with me last year, and he said it was like $5,000 for him to get everything home.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean you're 50 in.
Yeah.
All in.
Okay.
And then
I might as well sell.
What's
I don't even have it. I was gonna say sell a house and go, but
yeah.
So what is the difference between a $43,000 hunt and a $22,000 hunt?
Quality of bulls, number of moose you're going to see.
And $22,000 is still a lot of money.
It's still a lot of money.
How do you know that it's a reputable outfitter and that it's somebody that you can trust? There's no way to verify them in any way?
You can. I mean, the internet's a wonderful thing these days. But, you go on a hunt with me, well, we got reined in for camp for 7 days. You may say, oh, no, I'm never doing that hunting with Sam again. That was terrible. Or your dad comes with me and he shoots a 70-inch bull. No, he's the greatest outfitter I've ever met or greatest guide I've ever hunted with. I mean, there's so much on the internet that can help you, but it can also hurt the outfitters.
Is there any way that you would recommend somebody to try to verify people in some way, like make sure that it's there through the Safari Club International or endorsed by certain groups?
Yeah, that's one way. The other way that I look, if I go to an outfitter's website and he's got references at the bottom, I'm picking up the phone and calling just about every single one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you know you have a decent out. If he's willing to put references at the bottom, good and bad, I mean, that
Well, a lot of times
says
you
a lot.
can tell a scam by if the website sucks, but
Right.
no offense to outfitters.
they're all
Almost
terrible.
all their websites suck.
they all suck, yeah. Yeah. Which, I mean, and that's not what they're not.
Right. They don't need to do that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so still hard to verify.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to come do this hunt, is it
Hold on. Before,
$25,000 up front? Is there a deposit? Is it payments? Is there financing?
No financing, but do deposits. So if you wanted to book with me, for 26, 27, it'd be, $5,000 up, $5,000 right now to hold that. And then we do payments incrementally throughout the year.
So most people will pay you guys $5,000 up front, and then could somebody say, okay, I'll pay you guys the other $35,000 when they get there, or do they have to then pay you
you just said
$10,000 the
make
next year?
payments, he said.
What I'm saying is there are different options.
We need 50% paid up to the year of the hunt. So if this is for 2026, I'd need 50% by December 31st, 2025. And then that leaves 50% that you'd have to pay for the rest of that, that hunting year.
Gotcha.
Oh, so you could really kind of plan it 2-3 years down the road,
Right.
and then start just
paying
paying
it up, paying
Like
it.
say, hey, I could afford a couple grand a month.
Yep.
And just
$5
start
grand.
paying it off. Yeah.
$5 grand every 6 months. I mean,
Yeah, that
your
wouldn't
hunt's
be
paid
bad.
for. Yeah.
That's holy cow. That's a lot better way to look at it versus here's 50 G's.
Well, and maybe you don't know this. Well, I guess so. Can people pay you guys just like monthly, or do most of them try to do it in like a lump sum?
Yeah.
Okay, and then most of the guys that are doing this, do you think that most of them have the cash where they're paying this just out of pocket, or are they getting a personal loan and financing this? And
See, I couldn't tell you that. That's
do you
really
know if anybody in the outdoor space is financing hunts?
not off the top of my head.
Oh, boy. No, not yet.
Dude, I don't have the cash, but we can find somebody.
Find a personal loan.
Like
Yeah.
that could make it a lot easier for people to do, is if there was a financing option, with like 2-3% interest rate on it, where you could pay that monthly for a lot of, it doesn't matter because you guys are already booked up, but it would allow a lot more people to go, I would think.
Well, and it's harder to keep, if you do monthly increments of that, that's harder paperwork for us. And it's harder to keep everything in check. If we do get audited for some reason, why are you getting one check a month from this guy?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the side that I don't get to deal with. I just like to go out and play on the mountains.
Well, and you could do it on your own, where you're just taking X amount and you're putting it in an account for your moose hunt or whatever.
Right.
So other costs that the one that always comes up, though, there's one more that you mentioned, and was there a number, or is that included in the $5,000 when we talked about meat packing?
Mm-hmm.
Would that be in part of the meat packing or getting the horns taken care of, the hide taken care of to get it home? Was he including the taxidermy work, or was that in addition to the $5,000?
So it was $1,600 to get it shipped to the tannery.
Okay.
And actually, the company that I work for, we have a representative from the wildlife gallery. He comes and he tags everything, tags all the horns and everything, and they do one big shipment at the end of each moose season.
Okay.
So that cut
Smart.
cost on everybody. And then
Do you have to use that guy, or could you use your own taxidermist?
you could honestly take your horns and check them.
Meaning you could check them on the
Check
flight?
them on a bag, yeah.
Oh,
Even if
would
they're
make
that
me
big?
terrified.
Well, yeah, to a certain extent. You'd have to like air
I would
cargo.
feel like such a pimp.
Yeah. Walk on with your
Here you
moose
go.
horns. Yeah.
Check
I've taken
these.
elk antlers on.
Good Lord, that's
I
freaking
put
slick.
foam over the
Yep.
tips of their antlers
Duct tape them.
and duct tape that sucker to my bag. It was a
good, I
shed
guess.
that I found in
Yeah.
Wyoming, and I wanted to bring it home, and I duct taped that sucker on there and slipped the foam over and all of it, and nothing got broken. And people looked at it awfully funny when it came out of the thing, But other than that, it was legal.
That's cool.
Yeah, I do it I brought home 3 or 4 moose sheds and just duct tape it to the bag.
I had
Doesn't
that
go
question
anywhere.
later.
All right, and then the one that and this is a personal one because I've dealt with this, is tipping. That some people just do not understand that typically there are tips involved in your guide, your outfitter, your however you want to do that, or cooks.
Right.
Do you have an idea on about what that runs, or
Sam's thinking like 50%.
Yeah, please, yeah, or just another $40,000. That'd be fine. No, industry standard is 10 to 20%.
okay, that's the same with what we were dealing with.
Yeah, it's it depends on how good a hunt it was. You have a guy who sits in camp and doesn't do nothing, and it's a little bit rainy. Let's not worry about going out. Well, that's a terrible hunt. You're not going to give that guy that much money. Or you have a great hunt, and it's like, man, I didn't bring enough money. I mean, it just really depends on the hunt and the quality of hunt and everything. And there's some things that are out of the guide's control. If you get rained in camp for 7 days, don't take it out on the guide. I mean, it's not. He can't control that.
Is there extra costs with that? Meaning, like, if you had a 10-day hunt and then you guys couldn't get out for another 5 days,
We're going to keep hunting.
could the hunter get charged additional?
No.
Okay. So if you got rained
so
out
they
for
still get
7
their
days
10
and then you
days.
only get a hunt 3 days, is that how that would work? Or you get 7 days
Well,
tacked on?
That's hard to answer. If you missed out on the first 7 days, we're just going to cancel your hunt for that year. We'll roll it to next season. There's no reason to take you out there for 3 days. No, I mean,
Because that's where I could understand somebody being very upset if they paid 40-some thousand and then it rains for 70% of your hunt and
you're stuck in the hangar at the airport. Yeah, you might as well. Yeah, we'll get you next year. Try to.
Do most outfitters do that same thing?
A majority of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd imagine if it comes down to it, you just refund them, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Like where you
a
couldn't
certain
get
percent.
them in within a couple of years or something like that. They
Yeah.
just,
And that's all in the contract. If for some reason this hunt gets rained out, and this is just number's sake, a refund up to 75% will be given.
Oh, okay.
You know, because we're still buying all the food, the gear, all that kind of stuff.
Everybody's
for
going to
that.
be out some money whether
Correct.
it doesn't work or not. So
Right.
that makes sense.
Right.
All right. Well, I think we covered the dollars. I hope that was one of my big deals. I wanted to make sure that we threw some numbers out here so people could truly understand, because that's what happens is you have these conversations and no one wants to talk reality,
Right.
what it is. And I agree with Easton. I mean, he brings up a good point. When you hear $43,500, I mean, that was the cost of my first house.
Right.
But then if you can figure out a way to pay for it
Wouldn't it be nice?
over time, it isn't such an unachievable or unattainable goal.
Right.
It's something that a guy could go do. So
It's still a chunk of change. So, because then and I got that right, that a tip then could be $4,000 to $8,000 technically.
Technically.
Okay, so if you just went $55,000 for 36 months, because we're saying you're about 3 years out, right?
Yep.
That's still $1,500 a month.
Yeah, I feel like that's a
putting
pretty
away.
reasonable.
That's more than my mortgage.
Yeah, but I'm saying that if you're thinking about going to do one of these or something, you're probably in a position where you know that you're making some more money at that point or something, that I would be comfortable saying, hey, okay, I can set aside $1,000 a month or something.
Yeah.
Take one less vacation a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing not included in that is the cost of the hunting license and tags.
right, I had that written on there.
Yeah. So
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, licenses is about $1,000, or is it more than that?
hunting license, $160.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So not much at all.
Yep. Then your tags itself, a moose tag's $800.
Okay, so
for
there you
non-resident.
combine the
Yep.
two of them.
They make up for it on the other end.
That actually has gone up in the past couple of years.
Upselling
I think
suckers.
5 years ago it was like $600.
Oh.
And then COVID hit, and it was like, well, it's all
everybody's
these
been
non-residents
going,
coming
right?
in. Yeah. And then a bear tag is like $1,000 for a brown bear. Black bear's $500.
What's a
Sheep,
grizzly?
that $1,000.
Okay.
Brown.
So
brown
it's the
plus grizz.
same?
Yeah, it's the same license cost, but
Yeah.
different species.
So that was one of my questions was, do guys combine their hunts? Do they try to come kill two animals, or do you need additional days for something like that?
Every guy that I book to come hunt with me, I tell him buy a bear tag.
Just in case.
There's grizzlies out there. We shot one with a bow a couple years ago, and he fortunately had a grizzly tag in his pocket. And we went through a typhoon. Woke up one morning, and on the moose carcass that I'd killed the week before, there's the bear, and we hadn't seen shit for moose.
That would be awesome.
It was pretty neat.
Oh.
Only with my Desert Eagle.
No.
So you do suggest that people buy have another tag in their pocket in
You might
the
as well.
area, have a bear tag in their
Yep.
pocket.
Do you have problems with the grizzlies much up there?
Sometimes, not really.
Like when you say sometimes, like is that them getting into camp, bluff charging you?
We had one guide who had his tent eaten last year. That was a black bear. It wasn't a brown bear. Most of
Ate
the
the
time,
tent?
like he crawled in his tent, ate his sleeping pad, tore his tent up, ate all the snacks he had in there. Yeah, just destroyed everything.
Why did he have snacks in his tent?
Well, he gets hungry in the middle of the night.
See, Alyssa would be dead if she did make it.
He should have come to camp.
Yeah.
We teach the kids out in Montana, you do not put snacks in your
In your
tent.
tent.
So,
But most of the time, the bears are getting the meat. Like I lost my first year packing. Maybe it was my
So
second
that
year
guy
packing.
wasn't in that tent when he was in there, right?
They were out hunting. Yeah.
Okay.
And they came back to camp, and yes, it had been in there.
Okay.
They took care of that bear. Luckily, that hunter had a tag in his pocket, which was pretty cool. But I've had 2 moose stolen from bears. One that we shot the bull on like day 2, and then we spent the rest of the time because that bear would not come out. He drug all that meat into this big hole of alders, and we tried everything. You could hear him in there chomping and stuff. He just never would step out to give us a shot.
Dang, you didn't crawl in there, eh?
Oh, we had to get the horns and everything.
Oh, I was joking.
he drug the whole thing. He drug a whole bull moose.
Oh, after I'd cut it up. Yeah, I'd worked.
Okay, so some of the weight was off of it.
Well, he drugged the entire moose, though. The carcass, it had been butchered, but the entire moose was in this hole. I'd spent 9 hours cutting up this bull moose and come back the next day to start packing it to the river. And, all my hard work went to waste.
Was it a big bear?
It was a big bear.
Yeah. And so you guys were like, we're not going to really mess with him.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, we were going to try to let the lady shoot him. And then it comes into, we, messaged the outfitter and said, hey, we'd had a bear stole our meat. What do we need to do? And we knew what to do, but we just needed a record in case Fish and Wildlife showed up and said, well, where's your moose meat?
Right.
Oh, you ate it.
Yeah, he ate it. But then we had to go in and we had to photograph the whole scene for Fish and Wildlife. Then we had to go retrieve her horns. And by that time, that bear had buried everything and eaten the majority of it, and then had spooked off. So we were able to get her horns and everything out without incident.
Are they fairly scared of humans up there? Are they pretty aggressive? Like all our experience with grizzlies comes from Montana and Wyoming and stuff, and they're cranky bastards out there.
That bear that stole that meat, he heard a gunshot, and you could 90% say that he was going to show up on that carcass within 48 hours.
Like you knew that bear individually?
Oh yeah, I mean
And he
would
did that
follow
all the
us.
time?
Yeah, you'd see, and we'd hike up the mountain. The next day we'd come back, and there'd be paw prints in our boot tracks from the day before.
He was just waiting on you guys to kill one?
Yep.
They
And
figured
he
it out.
figured that out?
Oh yeah, he's an old bear too.
How come you guys don't shoot him?
It just can't ever. He's way too smart.
Really?
Yeah, they had him in bow range last year with a bow hunter, and the bow hunter was too scared to draw his bow.
What? You can't freaking crap out when you get there, man.
How much does this bear weigh?
He's probably 1,000 pounds.
Okay, so let's give the guy a little bit of grace. How far was it from him?
They stepped out like 35 yards,
Yeah.
Oh,
but it was walking across the moose trail.
We had a shot.
Yeah.
They
There
saw
ain't
him
no
for
question.
10 seconds maybe. I mean, it was a very short amount of time. That bear came out and turned and looked at him, and then just kept he dove off into them alders.
Yeah.
He knew.
I hate those things.
Yeah. No. But then
Why did you have to document all this stuff for Fish, Wildlife, and Parks? Did she get another tag or something?
No,
'Cause she didn't get to keep any of her meat, or
they want documentation. You know, you shoot a moose. Well, where's all the meat? They don't want to
so
give
they
one
make sure
waste
you're not
tickets.
wasting.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so they have laws up there. Correct me if
'Cause
I'm
other-
wrong, but they'll weigh your meat when you bring it in to
Correct.
make sure you brought all the meat. They have an average of what they think
What
that
if
you
you
should.
freaking give some to the guide or something?
You don't.
You can't until you're back in the hangar. And that's actually another good point. For DIY hunters, you better know how to skin a moose, because if they can show up and fill a gallon Ziploc bag with anything that they consider edible meat, it's a $2,500 one waste ticket.
A gallon bag?
Gallon Ziploc bag of anything the officer considers edible meat.
Wow.
And I can show you guys some pictures of what they want to, like, it takes 9 hours to get everything, rib meat, neck meat, everything.
Jeez.
That's a tough rule, but I support it.
Yeah.
I mean, man,
So
that's
then
a
how-
lot of work, but at the same time, they're going out of their way to make sure you're using every bit of that.
Correct. Yeah.
And how are most people getting that home? Have it processed there and then shipped home?
Yep. So we will flash freeze it in our hangar, and then there's a couple different places in Anchorage, Alaska Sausage and Seafood, that you can send it there, and they'll process it and then freeze it and send it to you. Or as a DIY, like we had some DIY guys do this, they'll bring vacuum sealers with them, and then they get back to the hangar and they'll process their own meat, and then just get fish boxes, 50-pound fish boxes, and then just check it as bags.
How much?
That would be
That
a
would
lot
probably
of
be
50
cheaper
pound.
than shipping it, I would
I
think,
don't
though.
think about how many freaking 50-pound boxes are you going to need for a damn moose?
Yeah, but how
10.
much
Yeah, about
meat are
10.
you getting out of them?
So
Like 600,
you're getting
700 pounds?
500 pounds of edible meat.
500 pounds? That's
Yeah.
going to be an expensive shipping ticket, too, though.
Yeah, but it's going to be $50 a pop. That's 500.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, you'd probably be close. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So, out of the 3 times that you said there's 3 hunts, basically 10 days through the month of September.
Right.
Which one is there a better one than the other? With the rut going on as far as calling or what?
Calling is hard to say. You're going into an area where these moose live, the cows live basically their whole life. You go in there and start screaming a cow call, yeah, you're going to blow every moose out of there. So I don't cow call much. It's a lot more bull calling and raking. Beginning of September, I like to rake a bunch because that's when they're getting velvet off, and they're still bachelor grouped up. So you're getting groups of, we saw 9 bulls together last year on that first hunt. So you never know what you're going to run into. That second 10 days can be very, very good. It can also be very challenging to where you're getting bulls coming in and going out. You know, you see a bull you want to shoot. Well, the next day he may be 3 drainages over. You can't get to him. He's got kicked out of by a bigger bull or smaller bull. He's just an old cranky guy that doesn't want to be there anymore. He's moving pastures. And then that third hunt is when they have their harems. If you get a bull with his harem, they're not going far. You know, they're gonna eat. They're gonna bed down. He's wore out. He's been fighting all of September, and now he's sitting in that one drainage, and he doesn't want to go very far.
Which could also be a good thing if you can find him, I would imagine.
Correct. Yeah. If
What-
you know he's in there.
What defines a harem?
A cow?
It's a group of cows.
It's a group of cows.
It's just the group of cat. Like once
Yeah.
they get with one bull or something. Okay.
Yep.
Well, it seems like they're only harems or whatever.
Once it's more than one. That's what they refer to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's
it
a
could be
harem.
any time of year though too.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
So you guys able to like get up on mountaintops and glass, or like how are you finding these moose?
Yeah. So where my camp's at, we're in one.
answered that in the first freaking 2 minutes too.
Well, no, dude. Some of these places, it's not like that, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like all flat, and so it's super hard to glass. Is that not right?
Yeah, so down in the swamps where a lot of these DIY hunts take place, you're having to climb a tree that's, as tall as the studio, and that's all the elevation you're going to get. Where we're at, we're 500 foot up a hill. It's not really a mountain, it's a hill. But we'll sit up there and glass all day.
How far can you see?
6-7 miles.
Jeez.
Good spotting scope and a big bull, you can find them.
Yeah.
That means we ain't going to go kill him, though. I want him within 2 or 3 miles of camp at the most.
Because how long would it take you to get 2 miles away?
The getting there is not the problem. It's getting the moose
Get the
back.
moose back.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking 10 trips on a moose, 100 pounds each minimum.
Yeah.
You're bringing out 800 to 1,000 pounds because the 4 quarters, you got to remember, all have to be left bone in. So you can cut them off at the knuckle, but that bone has to be left in there for all 4 quarters.
How much does that weigh?
100 front quarter 100 to 125. A back quarter can weigh up to 150 pounds probably. I've never weighed one, but
and you're having to carry that all the time?
well, no, we hire young kids to do that.
They must be pretty big kids.
Oh,
Ooh,
Grant.
Huh?
Grant's going to get worked.
Dude, that's going to tip him over.
I know.
We had a kid Easton size, probably 6 inches shorter than you, but I mean, he packed for me last year.
Skinny dude.
Skinny dude.
Oh,
Just a
man.
And
animal,
he's putting a
though.
150-pound quarter on his back?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And then, you have to help him up, and then just don't let him lean back. But
Yeah, and is he able to go continuous, or he's having to take breaks every...
you got to take a break
Yeah.
because you're walking in that tundra too, which you can't replicate a tundra. It's like walking on a waterbed. I mean, you're sinking into 6 inches of water sometimes, and it's it's not a steep hill, but it's still a hill.
Are the hunters having to carry anything?
No, if they're paying for a guided hunt, they don't get.
I was thinking, if I'm paying $50K, I ain't carrying shit.
Will you even let him?
No, for liability reasons, you can't.
See, I feel like that could
Really?
piss me off a little bit.
Well, if you get hurt and break a leg, I mean, there's a chance.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd
be like, give me that
I would
back
feel
strap.
so shitty.
So, well,
Like-
that was one of my questions though. So, what kind of shape do you expect your hunters to be in? Because they still got to get there to get the shot. So, I mean, you can't be just like not in shape.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, we had a 72-year-old guy 3 years ago who shot his moose from camp. You need to be decent shape.
Right.
And we have some heavier set guys that come in. You just got to take it easy and take your time. I mean, that moose really isn't going anywhere. You don't need to be in the best of shape, but the better shape you are, the more advantages you're going to have.
What would you say is the number one mistake that people make or aren't prepared for when
That's
they
my last
come?
question. Why did you just like jumped in? I got 3 more questions before we get there. Don't
Are we
answer
going to wait
that
that
yet.
one? Okay.
Yeah.
See, we're just so dialed east now, we don't even need to print out a sheet.
So where can a hunter find do you guys supply like an equipment list and say, here's what we suggest, and then here's some things that we ain't suggesting, you got to have this?
Yeah. We do. You sign the contract, ready to book this hunt. Yeah, we will send you a physical list of everything that you need. And there's some things, if you were to book a hunt with me, there's some things I would recommend that you bring that aren't on the list.
Gotcha. What can you share with what like some of those things are?
Sims wading pants, some sort of wading pant. On the list it says hip waders. Well, I lived in my Sims wading pants all of last year. I mean, it was so freaking wet that you didn't even take them off.
Right.
Where
You
if
wear
you're
it for boots,
I have my Crispies.
and you just put like gaiters on them or something.
I just wear my wading boot with a neoprene sock. It's like a wader,
Oh,
and I just throw my
I didn't
boots
know
on
they
top
made
of
them
it.
in like a normal pair of pants.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that'd be nice. I'm sitting here thinking like I'm not hiking in freaking waders. No freaking way.
You don't want neoprene duck hunting waders. You want like
Yeah.
the fly fishing pants.
Okay, that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's one thing that I would definitely recommend. Because it rains every single day. Good rain gear. You got to have good rain gear, and be able to shoot really.
And what about bugs? I've seen like horror stories of flies and stuff that, I mean,
Bug nets are a
Yeah.
lifesaver early in the season. Towards the end of the season, it's going to get cold. It'll
Right.
get down 20 degrees at night to where water's freezing, and then the bugs kind of go away. But if it heats up over 40, expect
out.
to put your bug nets on.
What is the typical temperatures between the 3 seasons?
Beginning of the season, you're 40s, 50s during the day, 30s at night. towards the end of the season, yeah, it'll be 15, 20 degrees and mid-30s.
So even early, it's still pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we got
nice.
8 inches of snow 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, and that last week of the hunt.
That would not be nice.
Yeah.
How about a snowmobile?
And it's only
Get
going
that sucker out of there.
I don't know how you get it there, but yeah.
That's fair.
So it's 40, 50 degrees, but it's only going down to like 20?
Yeah. It doesn't drop.
Really?
Yeah.
You're at sea level. I feel like that helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. And you're losing like 19 minutes of daylight a day that time of year. So it's like beginning of the season, it's getting light at 6 o'clock in the morning. Towards the end of the season, it's getting light at 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Huh.
That's a big change.
Yeah, it is.
Big change.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, so the last question I have is where Warren was going is, what's the number one thing that you would tell someone that they need to watch out for, or something that however you wanted to word your question, but that's where you were going, I think, was.
Mine was what was the number one mistake or things that people aren't ready for that you see all the time. Like every time somebody gets there, you're like, yep, didn't bring the waders or something like that.
It's not so much the gear, it's just the mental attitude towards it.
Okay.
People they may realize it, but it doesn't really click until they're standing there on the side of the mountain. You're not getting help. If something goes wrong, we are stuck here until we can get a hold of the National Guard or the Coast Guard. I mean, people come in and just break mentally. Like we had a 30-year-old ultra-marathon runner on day 4 of the hunt. He's like, okay, I want to go. Okay, well, we went. He kept up with us just fine. Day 4 comes, and he's like, I'm done. Tapped out. Wanted to go home.
And what was it that tapped him out? Like just the place or
the remoteness of everything. He just mentally could not
The
handle.
solitude.
Yeah.
How many guys are in camp?
Typically, it's a guide, packer, and a client, so 3 guys.
3 guys.
Yep. Sometimes with no packer, so it's 2 guys.
Yeah.
And as much as I want to be your friend, I still also have a job to do.
So you think he just didn't like you?
But I wasn't there for that hunt.
Oh, okay.
So I was a packer that they brought in.
What about his other guys? Like, are they nice guys? Are they jerks or something? Did they run him off? For being
Yeah,
skinny?
I mean, they're kind of – the guy was kind of a dick. I mean, he was –
the marathon guy? Or
Yeah. Well, yeah, he came in all chest pumped up. I'm an ultra-marathoner. I'll walk you guys into the dirt. Yeah, okay, buddy, you do that. Let's take a little hike here.
Yeah, you should ask him to try to carry a rear
Loose
quarter.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I've seen them legs. They'll snap.
Yeah, they was –
So like they get homesickness or so because you guys fly in or you boat in or fly in?
Yep.
Okay, so you fly in and then do you have any kind of some of them boat in.
We've been over this already.
He already said you got to fly.
Checking. Well, he said you flew from the
Fly to Anchorage
to
from
Bethel.
Anchorage to Bethel.
From Bethel
From
to
Bethel,
there.
they'll pick you up.
yeah,
in the
and I didn't
plane.
know what that was in.
It
Okay.
was Super Cub or float planes.
Yeah, a
Okay,
plane.
so see, not a stupid question. We hadn't gotten that far.
We could
Anyways.
rewind because I knew that.
Anyways, so is there this? I don't believe that there would be, but there's any phone service? No phone service? You said that somebody was messaging, or you guys messaged the outfitter. Did you
Yep,
do that
so-
through Garmin or something?
Yeah, Garmin inReaches.
Okay.
Or satellite phones, but the inReaches seem to work the best.
So you basically, if you guys need anything, it's an SOS button.
Correct.
Okay.
But that can still take a lot of time. It may be clear where we're at, but 75 miles away in Bethel, they may be fogged in with zero ceiling. Yeah, they ain't coming to get you today.
If it was perfect conditions, how long would it take them to get to you?
The Coast Guard, probably pretty quick, 15, 20 minutes.
Wow.
The Super Cubs would be an hour.
Okay.
Call it an hour.
So what is the Coast Guard? Just taking choppers or something?
Helicopters, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So your camp is not. I guess I had in my head that you'd have like a normal, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 guys there kind of thing. Different people going out everywhere. It's like this is 1-on-1 pretty much.
Yep.
You and one guide and that's it, unless there's a packer.
Right. Yep. And the cook
Wow.
tent, is half the size of the studio here.
Do you have a cook there?
No, I cook.
So you got to do it all.
Got to do it all. Yep.
What do you make for breakfast? Pop-Tarts?
No, we do eggs, sausage, and make breakfast
Dang.
burritos. Salsa.
What is your freaking day? You get up at what, 5, 6?
I get up at an hour before daylight, start making coffee, make breakfast, and then I'll start raking it right there in camp half an hour before daylight.
Raking?
Just take a
Like a femur bone?
He's doing his garden.
do my garden. I take our salsa container and
Yeah.
I'll put it on a stick and duct tape it, and you rake that against some trees, and it sounds just like bulls.
Oh, you're talking about just right from camp.
Yeah,
Already,
right from
camp.
camp.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you're already hunting by the time the hunter's getting up.
On those cold mornings, it may take him a little while to get going. So bring him a cup of coffee. Hey, sir, it's time to get up. Get your waders on.
Have you
You got a parent.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, dang. So you have.
you ever have any dudes that are just psycho? They're like, let's go, I'm ready.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Give it 5 or 6 days, and they get wore out. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you should have took it a little easy, huh?
But
No.
you didn't let me finish. So you're anywhere from 5 to 6 to what at night?
You can hunt technically. As long as you have moonlight, you can hunt 24 hours.
Moonlight? You
Yeah.
could hunt with moonlight.
Yeah. You can
With
hunt
my
20
bow.
These
like,
Kentucky
well,
boys are going to
yeah.
love
I mean, if I could see my
this.
pins.
If you can see your pins, you can hunt 24 hours a day in Alaska.
What? That is nuts.
So the moonlight just makes it really bright?
Oh, yeah.
I can
You
imagine.
should see the moon.
See the
It's awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like some of the pictures I've seen, just because obviously I haven't been there, I could understand that. It seems like the moon is freaking really bright, but I would
very
not
big.
have expected them to change the hunting laws.
Yeah.
Do you get to see Aurora Borealis?
I've seen it twice.
So it's not that common up there then?
Not where we're at. Up in the Arctic, where we'll be sheep hunting, you'll see it more.
Okay.
But where we're at in Western Alaska, it's rare.
Okay.
So point being, you alone as the guide. Holy cow, that's got to be one of the hardest guiding outfits, animal wise. I would think, simply for the fact of it's you doing everything. There's no cooks. There's nobody helping out with anything. It is you and them. You're getting up at 5 a.m, potentially hunting till 9, 10 o'clock at night, if not later.
Yep.
Like that is for 3 months straight.
No, that's
Or I
only
mean a
30
month
days.
straight. Yeah.
30 days. And
Yeah, that is something.
yeah, and once you get a moose down, it's like
Now the work starts.
now the work starts. And by law, I can't be more than like 100 yards from the client.
So
He
they got to
signs
come with you.
He's got to be sitting right there, and they'll help. I mean, you try to lift and skin a moose by yourself. I mean, I've done it. I take paracord and tie the leg to the horn and just kind of crank on it and pull and crank. It's really nice to have 2 guys. With 3 guys, you can skin a moose, caping all the meat off in like 5 hours. But trying to do it by yourself with an old guy, it makes it
That's
a long
all
day.
the more reason I'm sitting there. I was sitting there thinking, oh, yeah, you guys probably have 3 or 4 guides in camp that when you kill something, like everybody, let's get your bags on, let's go.
Yeah, no.
And you're having to do that with every freaking dude to pack it out. Right. If I were you, I'd be saying, that's 2 or 3 miles over there. You can kiss my ass. We're staying right here. We're going to wait.
That's why I shoot them as close to camp.
I don't blame you.
Do you ever come out in that 30-day period?
I don't. Not
You
typically.
don't? Is there any kind of showers or portable showers or anything, or is it just everybody stinks?
I'd take a big pot of water and boil it, and then I make a little makeshift shower. And I have little bottles of soap.
What does the packer do the whole time? He just
He
goes hunting with you?
Yeah, he's hunting right there alongside me. And if I have a decent packer in camp, we'll figure out some sort of, because you can't text or relay any information when you're making a stalk. So I'll leave him up on the top of the hill with the spotter, and he'll arm signal us in. And that works out really, really well. That's killed a lot of bulls for me.
And that version would be legal, I'd assume.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
The hand signals.
Is there anything that you would tell anybody that they could do to prepare for the mental side of it? Like maybe if they
Lock yourself in a bathroom with the
never
lights
been
off.
somewhere.
And seltzer for
Uh,
30 days? You got everything you need,
Yeah.
except for food.
Like, do you think you could tell somebody, hey, at least go out west, go Colorado, Montana, somewhere, and pack and go camping for 7 days on your own or something? Or do you think that they're like, is there anything else they could do?
Do it in the rain. I mean, it's gonna rain every single day there. You're gonna get wet. You're gonna be cold, wet, and tired the entire time.
So really the mental aspect is probably just going to be kind of how you're geared as a person.
Correct.
Individually.
Correct. Yeah. We've had 70-year-old men who come in, and like I said, that ultramarathon runner, he was just a wimp.
Yeah.
And then that 72-year-old guy, I mean, he hung in there. We couldn't walk very far, very fast, but we shot his bull 200 yards from camp.
Right.
Right on the strip. It was awesome. That was the easiest pack of my life.
Are your a lot of your guys that are like hardcore hunters, are they usually good?
Yeah.
Or does it take like day 6, or they all pretty much still just get shot, or are there any of them where
It's 2 or 3 days in. I mean, first 2 or 3 days is hard for everybody.
Got to acclimate.
Yeah. From then on out, the really good guys are really good. Like, I'll take them on a 5, 6, 7 mile hike that day. And, it'll still be all close to camp, but we'll go hit one ridge, move to the next ridge. I mean, we'll hunt hard, and I'll hunt all day.
Yeah.
To where some of these other guys, let's take a break at lunch. All these moose are bedded down for the afternoon. Let's go back to camp, eat some lunch, take a nap, do that kind of stuff. And actually last year I was taking a nap and the client comes out and he's like, well, there's a bull right across from camp. Get out of camp. Yeah, that's a really nice bull. Ended up being like a 64-inch bull we shot.
Jeez.
So I got caught sleeping.
Yeah.
But I was tired.
Do you, is it hard for you? I've never done it on like to this scale, but is it hard for you to come back into society somewhat? Because like when we would go elk hunting, we used to go for the whole month, and it was basically like me, him, and 2 camera guys and stuff, and sometimes mom or somebody would come in for a week or something, but and we'd be out there for the whole month, and usually not much cell service, and you get to a point where it was like you would realize how small all of your main world problems are, and how much like the wilderness and the earth like really didn't care,
right?
And it was a very peaceful way of living, in my opinion, because it was so simple. Like all you did every day is you got up, you tried to find an elk, you tried to figure out a way to kill it, and then you came back and you made dinner and your snacks for the next day, and you were exhausted and you went to bed, and then you got up and you did the same thing.
Right.
There was no bills, there was none
of that.
And so I found it was kind of hard for me personally to come back.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult. Like if you ask my fiance, I came back last year, she said you were just flat out weird. Like I'd be sitting on the couch, she'd come home from work, no TV, nothing was on, I'd just be sitting there, just like staring. She's like, "Are you a serial killer now, or what's going on?" I was like, I'm just so overstimulated with everything that's going on. And when you're out there, your mind never really shuts off. You're out there sleeping in the tent. You're still, that little thing in the back of your brain is still awake because, okay, what happens if a rainstorm hits? What happens if there's a bear that comes in? Like, I'm the first line of defense. My job is to protect you guys.
Right.
The animal comes second. So you're under so much stress for an extended period of time. I mean, it hurts. Like, there's guys who just flat out can't do it. They're just not wired right. But I think all guides are not wired right. That's why they're so good at what they do.
Yeah.
A lot of the guides, at least.
Well, it's such an interesting thing. Like, I don't have any military experience, but I could see where, like, those guys could have, where it could be so hard for them to come back to society because they spend X amount of years on a, on a mission or a deployment or whatever, and then where it's complicated. Like, you're trying to figure out how to get this moose to do whatever and where you need to be and everything else, but at the same time, it's super simple. Like, you have one objective, it's to kill the biggest moose you can. That's it at the end of the day,
so
opposed to everything else in everyday life that gets made into these things that are ultra important.
Oh, yeah, you're exactly right.
So what do you do the rest of the year?
Cut trees, go hunt.
Cut trees, like a tree cutting business?
Yeah, there's AJ, our buddy. He
Yeah.
has a tree cutting business, so he calls me.
AJ Duchesne?
No, AJ Winters.
Oh, I was going to say. Well, that's another one that's in one of those groups. That's why I was thinking that.
Yeah,
was
well, he was the president for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I think that's what his title was.
Oh, okay.
That's how we met him.
That makes sense.
Yeah, good dude. Really nice guy. Well, so my last two questions, and you kind of have answered it, though, but is there been one trip that stands out that, like you talked about the 72-year-old guy, like that was just the trip, and has there been one that has been like, this was a nightmare, like in every way, shape, or form?
You want me to start with the worst or the best?
The worst.
The worst.
Go worst, and then we'll go best. We'll end on a good note.
Right. I don't think I'll get in trouble for telling the story. These guys are.
You don't have to use
not from
names.
here. Yeah. So we shot a bull. I finished up my hunt. I was supposed to be done for the year. Well, the outfitter comes in and says, "Hey, do you want to do one more hunt quick?" There's a 2-on-2, so or a 1-on-2. One guy, 2 clients. He's like, "Hey, do you want to go over and take over one of these clients?" I said, "Yeah, that's fine." And so he flew me out there. Well, it was a father and son, 18-year-old kid. His dad had bought him a $40,000 moose hunt as a graduation present.
Jeez.
Oh,
We
Lord.
get out there, and that kid was the most arrogant, stuck-up person I have ever met. I mean, there was points where we were walking through the timber, and him and his dad just start screaming at each other. And his dad looks at me, he's like, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Well, we're going to go back to camp until you guys settle down because we just blew every moose out of the country here."
Right.
And it got to the point where that kid refused to pull the trigger just to stick it to his dad. Like, we had a 60-inch bull step out at 320 yards or something. I'm like, he was on the sticks. He was solid. I'm like, "Shoot him." He's like, "No, it's too far." I'm like, "Well, how close do you want to get?" He's like, 200 yards. Okay, so we get 200 yards. Nah, still too far. And then by that time, the bull had moved off. But frankly, he stuck it to his dad for a reason and then got me pulled
Got you pulled in the middle of it.
Yeah. So I'm trying to, I can relate more to the 18-year-old kid than I can to the 50-year-old dad. But now this dad's pissed. I just paid 40 effing grand for this, and you're acting like this, you little, going off on the kid. Well, it got to the point where we called the outfitter and said, hey, you need to come get these guys. And Wade talked to the dad on the phone, and they got it ironed out to where if the kid shot a bull today, Wade would be there that night to pick him up. So we walked out there, found a little dinky 50-inch bull. He hammered him at like 400 yards. Took some quick pictures, and off they went.
What the hell?
Yeah. Talk about entitled, man.
What did the dad do
I
for
don't
work? Do you know?
I don't know.
Did he seem just
surprised
super
that-
loaded?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
He's
so that kid's
stupid
gotten
money.
everything his entire life.
Was scared of the rain. I step out of tent in the morning and look, and it's raining. We're not going out today, which is fine with me. I've been hunting hard for 20 days. Yeah, I'll take a break every now and then, but at the same time, like, is this going to affect me? This not only looks bad on me, but it looks bad on our company.
Right.
And that kid was just.
I don't think it really
so
reflects
glad.
on you guys, in my opinion. If
Who's to know that? Who's to know what actually happened?
Well,
I
the
wouldn't be
fact that
putting
he's
that
an
stat in your
18-year-old
books. That's what I wouldn't be doing.
Right.
Because
But
how many 18-year-olds are getting to go on a Yukon moose hunt that's 40,000? That would be my first thing. Like, if I even saw it, I'd be like, okay, well, how did this 18-year-old get to go? Daddy bought it.
Right.
You know, so that to me right there is going to be a pretty indicator that
Yeah.
who knows what the kid was like.
Yeah.
Well, that's just something that people got to realize, that what you guys are not only trying to help, like you said, there's several things. You're trying to keep everyone alive. You're trying to help everyone kill an elk, and then or a moose or whatever it is that the guide's doing. But at the same time, you're trying to keep peace in your camp as well, whether it's family or whether it's two different clients. You guys don't have that situation,
Right.
but I've dealt with that where you had guys that just didn't get along.
Right.
And it's like, okay, don't put them together. We don't want to, and a lot of times it would like be one little comment,
Yeah.
and some guy just knew that he was jabbing at the other dude, and then you wouldn't hear it till the next day, and then out would come something that was said at dinner, and it's like, where'd that come from, and so, all right, well, let's go now. What's the best? What's the good one?
This was last year, the 11-year-old kid that came up and shot his bull. It was another situation where, it was daddy's money, but that 11-year-old.
I would think so.
Yeah, how old do you have to be to hunt there?
Unless he's a YouTube sensation.
Yeah, no kidding.
Anything? 10?
Well, it's certain animals. Yeah. Certain. Yeah, I think he was 10 when they bought the hunt, and he came and hunted it at 11.
Wow.
But that kid, his name was Easton, so
Oh,
some similarity.
That makes sense
Yeah,
why
he was a
he
good
was so
hunter.
cool
Yeah.
and such a good hunt.
Yeah.
You sure you don't have the names flipped?
Bro, no, I'm pretty sure. But he showed up in my camp with 3 days left of the season. His goal, he was doing that Super 10, I think it is, from the North America 29. If you shoot the Super 10 before the age of 15, you get your name in the book. So he had like 8 of the 10 animals, and he just finished up a goat hunt in British Columbia and was coming up
Good Lord.
to moose hunt. So he shows up with 3 days left of season. He's like, we need a 60-inch bull.
The kid says this or the dad does?
The outfitter. To me.
Okay.
He's messaging me. He says, hey, can you take one more 60-inch bull out of this camp? I say, yeah. He's like, okay, we're bringing you another client. So he flies in with the dad first, and the dad steps out, and I'm like, hey, man, how's it going? You ready for this? We got a bull. He's like, oh, no, it's for my son. And I was like, son, okay, well, this guy's 50s. His kid's 25, whatever. Yeah, out steps up this 11-year-old who's 4 foot tall.
The gun's probably taller than him.
Yeah, he had a 300 PRC that with the suppressor was that tall, And that night we got on. You can't fly and hunt on the same day, so we spent the night glassing. Next morning, get on this bull, and 300 yards, and he whacked that bull, and he dropped. And that kid was so excited. He shoots the bull. He's talking, chattering. He kind of like stops and just kind of tenses up. I'm like, Easton, what's wrong, buddy? He's like, I'm so excited. I got to poop.
Oh my gosh. Who is this kid? What the heck? I didn't know anybody else is like that.
Now you got to explain to everyone what we're talking about. Easton's had that issue since he was a little kid.
Oh, I get sick.
He
Do
would.
you really?
We'd be going turkey hunting. It's early in the morning, and he's like, "Dad, my stomach hurts." And I'm like, "You're just excited." No, I'm pretty sure I'm sick. And so sure enough, he'd go to the bathroom. We'd go hunting or whatever, and then the rest of the day he's fine. But we'd get into a situation. Well, later on in life, he started to recognize. He's like, I get the farts when I get really excited, like immediately. Like you don't want to be walking behind them if there's a turkey or a deer or whatever it is. All of a sudden, it's
My stomach literally hurts so bad. Some turkeys do it the worst. If I have a gobbling bird coming in, my stomach will be flipped. And
That's
it doesn't
funny.
maar how calm I stay. It's just, it ain't good.
Poops. Oh, jeez.
well, that's awesome.
Well, what was a good kid?
Yeah, that kid was awesome.
This might be an unpopular take, but I don't think I kind of feel bad for that kid.
Yeah, he's spoiled rotten.
Well, he's not going
Well-
to have anything to work for.
Like to me right now, like I haven't gotten to do a goat hunt, sheep hunt, moose hunt, anything like that.
Right.
And I'm appreciative for that because that gives me something like I couldn't imagine.
If you got to do them,
About 11, I'd already been to Alaska and all these other places.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, he shot an elk, mountain lion, sheep, goat, bear, whitetail. I don't remember. I mean, he'd shot 9 of the 10 at that point.
Well, I
stuff
agree
like
with
that
you,
kinda
but
takes away from like that next adventure. Like the thing of Alaska to me is it's a dream and a picture of what it is in my head. You know that when I know the time that it becomes a reality, it's going to be surreal.
Right.
Where I don't think even at 1, you kind of lose that if you already did it at 11. You know somewhat what to expect, and then 2, there's no way you can comprehend it fully.
Right.
I wouldn't think either at that age to really get to understand what you're getting to do.
Yeah, appreciates it nearly as much.
Yeah, I mean, well, Dad he had to have spent $200K in hunts.
Just that
No,
fall.
more than that.
more than that,
That was just
$2
that
million
fall.
probably.
Yeah.
$2 million.
Well, we're talking 50,000 for what he just did on that one.
So that fall
That was probably one of the more expensive ones, though, I think. I think the other ones are probably sitting, like the other expenses, were, I think
probably
like 30,
20.
40.
Yeah.
Okay, well, but
You could get a kick-ass elk hunt for $20K.
I'm talking like the sheep or like the
Yeah,
bighorn.
he shot his
Or is
shot
it
a Dall sheep.
dull sheep.
Yeah,
Which
which
that's
is still 40 grand.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
so let's just say average of 25 times 10 is 250,000 right there just for the hunts.
right.
Okay, then all the flights and everything, and
Right.
I would just guess you're not perfectly successful on every hunt.
You got to do a couple.
You got to do one more than once. Let's just say $500,000
Well,
probably.
and
At
that's just for
minimum.
the kid. That's not even including the dad coming
The
along.
extra
Right.
costs, yeah.
Yeah.
Was Dad shooting anything or not?
No. Well, he's coming back to shoot that 70-inch bull we saw, but
Yeah.
because Easton's like, well, can we go shoot that one? His dad's like, no, we're saving that one for me next year.
There we go. I like
So
that.
that's how he's teaching it.
What did he do? Owned a business or something?
Yeah, some guy from Oregon,
Yeah,
very successful.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
But see, there'll be other thing. I mean,
He probably could have
It's-
gotten some of them in Oregon, couldn't he?
Yeah, he shot a majority of them.
Yeah, I was going to say.
but there's so many people, Warren, and I'm not picking on you guys either, that would say you guys have experienced the same
That's
thing that kid
exactly
did,
what I was going to say. to him.
only
In
to a
different
lesser
level.
degree. You
Well,
know,
that's the issue, though. That's absolutely, I agree 100%. However, he's got nothing left.
oh yeah,
yeah,
there-
you know,
Africa.
like-
there's
and
Kyrgyzstan
all-
and
yeah.
places
Yeah.
like that,
Marco
the Marco
Polos.
Polos and things like that they could put on their radar that we never even considered.
The only-
I didn't even know what one was when you guys were growing up. You know,
He's 11, though. That might be done by the time he's 18.
Yeah,
You
but
never
the
know.
difference is the same thing here. We got to grow up in the West and everything, and I was a little different because I didn't get a hunt while I was there. But like we were going back and stuff, and so ours has turned. Yours turned at not the things you've already done, but trying to do like a big elk. Like I want to kill a big elk, big mule deer, this, that, and the other. Then you're going to turn to Alaska probably if I know you well enough. That's going to be your next something similar, and then after that, it's going to be something else that you're going to have to find.
Well,
It was his is he already
so
took out one.
what
of them.
Dad did there in that case, you're not killing the biggest. So then now that kid's got a reason to want to go back sometime. Who knows? He might end up guiding. I mean, one of those hunts may be that thing that he just goes, I remember this.
That's what he did.
And that's what I want to go do and not get paid for it or not get paid what Dad is getting paid, but he wants to go do that. So there's multiple ways of looking at it, you know.
And that's why I kind of started guiding. I was like, you know, I may make a bunch of money, I may not, but why not guide? You know, I'm doing everything but pulling the trigger.
Right.
I still get to get my hands on that 70-inch bull, but yeah, he's not hanging in my fireplace, but I still have the pictures. I have the memories. I did all that work, just
Absolutely.
like guiding whitetail, just like guiding anywhere in the world.
Yep.
You're doing all that work, and the guys really appreciate it. Some of them do. Some of them couldn't give, you know.
That would be the
don't
toughest
care.
part.
Yeah.
Is the ones that don't give a crap.
Right. who were just checking the list.
We were pretty jacked when Johnny Unser shot that bull that you called in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and we didn't pull the trigger. I mean, because Warren came out and he got to spend, a year or 2 years with me helping.
I think it was 2.
2 years.
2 years where he actually came out. And then
Maybe 3, because I guided 1 year on my own.
And then you had another year where you
when
and Dad
Rick
were
shot
helping.
his bull, and then I took the guy with the recurve.
Right. Mm-hmm. That was the second year, I think, or third.
Maybe.
Yeah, but Johnny Unser, he's related to one of the Unsers that drove Indy cars.
Sure.
Anyhow, he was one of our clients. He came in, and so I asked him. I was like, "Look, my kid can call pretty good, but are you okay with me letting him? He's going to be the one making the calls." He's like, "Yeah, absolutely, let's do it." And I'm like, "All right, I'll be there. Something seems like it's not going right. I'll stop Warren, or I'll split up with him and help him." And we started working, and Warren started calling, and this bull comes in. He ends up killing like a 355-inch bull. I mean, it was it was like
it's a cranker.
It was, yeah,
It's a cranker.
It was, but it was like we had pulled the trigger on a bow. You know, I mean, Johnny Unser didn't care. Who called him in at that point. Warren was super excited, and I was super excited because I got to watch my kid do what I had been doing.
Right.
So
Which I was the one hitting the call, but Dad was sitting over there and.
He
he would tell me, okay, bugle, okay, cow call,
right.
and so I would be like, looking at the elk, looking at Dad, looking at the elk, looking at Dad.
It was.
But I think
he was teaching you.
Like honestly, for me, I don't see, I don't really have the Alaska bug, other than to go with you two and to see him shoot a moose. Like at least for me, like if that was something where it's not for another 10 years, I'm not like, oh my God, I got to go to Alaska. Now I'd like to go less than the next 10 years so that we can see him shoot one with his bow. But that Alaska to me would be more so to be a part of you getting to fulfill your dream than me going myself. If I was going to go to Alaska, I'd rather go up there to go shed hunting, to be honest. I really want to find them.
Moose paddles.
Dude, I see those guys find them when they're super dark chocolate and on the snowmobiles and stuff.
Right.
Like, I would rather go do that.
You're willing to go do that over and still be in the grizzly bears just to find a freaking paddle?
I would imagine they're not out at that time because they're like they're snowmobiling in.
Oh, they're snowmobiling to find them?
Deep.
How do you find them in
videos
the
I've
snow?
seen are.
Depends on when they
videos
drop them, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the videos I've seen, they're like, well, don't they drop them in like December?
Yeah.
So
They have like 3 months of them on their head, and that's it.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're the fastest growing bone on Earth. There's a lot that goes
Moose
into
specifically?
it. Yeah, moose.
yeah, because a
I did
lot of
not
the
know
ones I
that.
saw that these guys were trying not to go in spring because they were like pretty much already white by that time because they'd
That would
been under
suck.
snow for
the moon,
so long.
moon is shining
yeah.
on them,
Moon
so it dries them out.
What's a?
But yeah,
like
I'd still be more willing to deal with a grizzly for a shed than
you're an idiot.
hunt one.
Bring your bow up and we'll shoot a grizzly.
He
with
won't
a
do
bow.
it. I will though. Let
No.
me know. That is my bucket list. Is
I
a
would-
grizzly with my bow.
You got to talk to that guy that I took out a couple years ago. He about shit his pants.
I want to poop my pants while I'm shooting.
He was at full draw for 3 minutes waiting on that bear to turn.
Oh,
And we're standing like this far apart, and I got my 458 here.
yeah.
And that bear stands up and he goes to full draw, and he looks at me. He's like, "We're 32 yards from a grizzly bear in Alaska." And I was like, "Yeah,
Shoot him.
He shoots him a little far back, and I had to shoot him. But
Only way
That's
you're
good.
going to
That'd be
see me
fun.
with a grizzly, I'm taking a 50 cal. I'll shoot him at 30 yards, but I'm shooting with the biggest caliber I can carry. Like I'm gonna blow him away. I don't want any chance of him turning. I want to blow such a huge hole in him that he's either gonna die or he's gonna run because he's gonna be like, "What the frick just hit me?"
I'll bring you my 458 down and let you shoot it a couple times.
Is it huge?
I mean, yeah, it's as big as your dad's pin. There's
Would it like knock him off his feet at 500 yards?
No,
Not big enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 100-yard shot. It's a 100-yard gun or less. I mean, it's meant to stop animals.
Yeah.
It's not meant to shoot something a long ways.
See now, but if I went on the moose hunt, I would not be the guy saying that's not big enough.
Right.
My whole thing is I want to call one in.
Yep.
I want to have him come walking in, head tilting back and forth, and I wouldn't care if he was 50 inches, 70 inches, or I mean, I just want that. I've killed a moose. I drew a tag in Montana, but
Right.
I didn't call it. Back then, I didn't even know that you could call them. I drew it the first year I moved to Montana. I saw a tremendous moose. I saw what we think would have been the new state record with a bow.
Jeez.
And I couldn't get a shot at him, and so thought he would stay around. Well, they were moving around because the rut was going. This was middle of September. Didn't find him again until I had already arrowed I shot another bull,
Right.
and then my buddy came driving up the road, and he's like, man, I got video. I was holding my handy cam. He's like, I found the big one. He's 2 drainages over, and I'm like, don't tell me that now.
I just killed
I
one.
just shot one, and he's like, you're kidding. I'm like, no, I shot the one that you saw last night and said it was like 36 inches. He's up on top of here.
Okay.
Oh, no, he's right there.
Oh.
So that was I had seen 17 bulls, but the biggest one was the one and then that was the second biggest.
Right.
I mean, there wasn't like there was a lot of big bulls to pick
Shireses
from.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
Shire's
Shires.
not- Well,
So
I'll have to show you some pictures of like.
That's what I'm thinking for my bear gun.
That's a 50 cal.
Yeah, you're dang right.
He's
It's
an
a little
idiot.
too much gun.
No way.
The
Is that
only
that-
other
is
question.
the Tommy gun.
He's gonna
No.
take that up and down the mountains.
No.
I will. I'll get
He'll
in
make
shape
it.
just
He'll
for
make
that.
it 100 yards. It'll be
Get that
done.
thing.
I would put money on that.
What?
I want to see video of that.
No.
All right.
I have one more, and that it's
Okay.
off topic. Quick.
Oh,
What are you looking at price wise for like a mountain goat? I know, and you guys may not do it, but like
10 to 15.
okay. So I was thinking they would probably be, and that's over the counter in most places, or
Certain area like Kodiak, it's a draw.
10 to
Okay.
15 grand?
Yeah, which is where the big mountain goats are.
those are the 2 that are in Alaska that are on my bucket list: is a mountain goat and a
Grizzly
I'd like a brown
brown
bear,
bear.
but
brown bear.
yeah.
Go to, Kodiaks. You can do both, but they're both draws.
yeah.
How much are the doll sheep?
40.
35 to 40, depending on
And-
where you go.
Is
But-
there stone sheep there?
No.
Just dolls.
No,
Yeah.
just dolls.
And the sheep population has been hurting the past couple of years.
That's
about
probably
the
gonna get
caribou?
harder
Are they
and harder
getting
to
any
draw
better?
too. Then
Yeah. Well, they're just limiting the amount of non-resident
Yeah.
tags. Yeah.
Hmm.
There was like 1,500 tags for sheep last year, and 400 were killed. So like
Oh, wow.
22%.
What
Huh.
about caribou? Because weren't their numbers down for a while?
Yeah, they've shut a few of the herds down to non-hunting.
It's not getting any better then?
Well, the biggest problem is predator control. You got to go in and shoot the predators. That's what's killing them, is the wolves. One of our pilots, Arthur, he shot like 98 wolves 2 years ago, one winter.
In 1 year?
Yeah, they just followed him on snow machines, followed the caribou herd, and the wolves would show up. Like, he'd clean out packs of 9.
what do you?
Holy
What does a
shit.
wolf hunt run for?
You don't really do a wolf hunt.
You can't go find somebody up there that's.
I mean, you could. There's none that I know of that are specific wolf hunts.
That dude should.
I would be
he
interested
should
in that.
charge for that. I would be willing to pay to go do that.
On the
I'm
back
not
of a
even
snow
kidding.
machine, yeah.
Yeah, I'm 100% serious. I bet you he would too.
Oh,
Well,
I would in a heartbeat.
It's $60 for a tag.
There was 30 in Idaho. I got to hunt one with my bow one day. Just happened to be a wolf there,
Really?
and we didn't even get close. But he was within probably a couple hundred yards of us. That was like I was like,
That would be
I
cool.
would really like to do
That would
this.
be
Now,
really
that's
neat.
the only big game animal that I have that I would hunt right now with a gun.
So how are they not
Yeah.
hurting the moose if they're messing up the caribou so bad? Or they're just spending all their time on
Freaking
caribou,
feasting on the caribou.
The caribou are easy.
so they don't even mess with the moose then.
Well, they do. There was one area, and I don't remember where it was, but basically 100% of the moose calves that were dropped that they surveyed, all of them were killed by bears or wolves.
Of the moose calves?
Yeah, one spring. And that's the other thing.
So you guys aren't concerned about that for the future?
Oh, no, I mean, we are. We're trying to get guys to shoot them. That's why I recommend everybody buys a bear tag.
So of the 70 moose that you saw in a day, they mostly all adults then?
No, half of them were cow calves, yeah.
So that was only 1 year then that 100% of
One
the calves
spring.
got killed.
Surveyed.
It wasn't
Yeah.
where he was hunting.
It was
at
not
either.
where we were
Okay,
at. I read that somewhere, saw that somewhere. But they followed one grizzly. He came out of his den. He killed like 32 moose calves in a spring.
Good God. Holy
Just
cow.
finding a cow and following her or what?
No, he'd hit one calf, and then, bears have an incredible sense of smell. So he'd smell another calf that dropped 3 miles away and go. He would chew on them and then bury them and then hit the next one.
Right.
Yeah.
But just imagine how much a bear like that, a calf would not fill him up.
No.
Because they say a mountain lion eats a deer a week. And so a bear,
Oh, yeah.
a lion is 125 pounds to 150 pounds. We're talking 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
You're probably talking, he's looking at a cow moose might last him a week.
Yeah.
Well, the other problem you have with that is imagine you killed 10 grizzlies, but you didn't kill that one.
Oh,
That
right.
one alone was one
Right.
that took out 32 of them.
Well, and you get a sow who's, they're having cubs every 2 years. She's training all those cubs.
Yeah.
And then all those bears. It's just generationally, your moose population or caribou population is going to dwindle. That's why people need to go shoot predators.
Are they working pretty hard on trying to kill more of them?
They are, and I don't know if this is true, but I heard some talk about them making it a requirement. If you buy a moose tag, you're supposed to shoot either a wolf or a bear, like a black bear.
Well,
So
that'd
it's
be
almost
sick.
a guarantee that you're going to get an opportunity at one then?
Depends on the area. And these are some guys that, who knows if they're blowing smoke,
Right.
but that's a proposal that they want to make it. You have to kill a predator. And this is residents. I don't know about non-residents. As a resident, you have to kill a predator before you can get your moose tag
That's
or your
smart.
caribou tag.
That would be a really good deal.
Yeah.
And
Can you give me the last? I said this on the last one. But this one really pisses me off. Can you give me the freaking specific difference in a grizzly and a brown bear that is up there? Because I know there's a difference between the grizzlies in the lower 48 to what you guys have what you guys have up there.
Right.
But even you're saying on one side of the river it's grizzlies, the other side is brown bears.
Fish.
Yeah, but if it's one side of the river, why can't the other grizzlies get into
They
the
got to have a defining line. Let's say
60-second parallel is quote unquote the dividing line, but they also say 75 miles inland. So you get 75 miles or closer to the ocean, that's a
Yeah.
brown bear. Anything past 75 is a grizzly.
Oh.
It's basically the bear that eats the fish or eats, the stuff.
Okay.
And then the bears that are inland that are eating berries. And
So they really don't want people coming to brown bear hunt. They want people to come grizzly hunt.
the grizzlies are,
The big deal.
Well, and your brown
But they're
bears
the
are
same
way
thing.
bigger, right?
yeah,
Than
body
your inland
wise.
grizzlies?
Yeah.
Like 200, 300, 400 pounds more?
Yeah, a third of the size bigger, half size bigger. Like a big grizzly, that grizzly we shot, I think she squared at like 7'5", which is a good size grizzly.
And weighs probably how much?
She weighed 600 pounds maybe.
600 pounds. And then a big sow brown bear would be
800 probably.
800. So it's not crazy difference.
But I mean,
But a brown bear stands like 10 foot, don't they?
You shoot a 10-foot bear, that's a 1,200 pound bear, I'd imagine. I've never
Yeah.
put my hands
A
on
brown bear?
one. Yeah,
yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
we're looking for with the bow.
with the bow and brownie.
And
They're
I'm gonna
not.
back you up.
I'm in. Hopefully you don't need to. But
Right.
Is it true that they're not as aggressive as the grizzlies?
Yeah, just because they're less hungry.
Just because they got all the fish?
Yep.
Interesting.
You get a grizzly who claims your meat, you better shoot straight or you better just let it
Wait.
do its thing.
You ever seen a wolverine?
Seen one in the air. We
What?
were flying over it. Yeah.
You might be the only person I've ever met that's seen one.
Yeah, it was right at dusk.
How many are in Alaska?
Who knows?
Oh, I didn't
There's
know.
quite a few of them there.
Yeah.
but
They probably
A
have
lot.
more. Is there still only 7 in Montana?
I don't know. At one point, we had a biologist come to one of the camps that we were holding, and he
Right.
was able to tell the kids they had been trying to reintroduce them and keep track of it. And there was, according to him, there were 7 adult wolverines in the state of Montana.
That's like saying there's only 3 mountain lions in
Yeah.
the state of Iowa.
Right.
And there's more. We just haven't seen them.
Wolverine.
Right.
Saber-tooth. All right, wacky fact time.
All right.
Unless Warren or you guys got more, but we've railed you with questions.
Okay. Surgeons who play video games, so this is good for any nerds out there, at least 3 hours a week perform 27% faster and make 37% fewer errors performing laparoscopic surgery.
Playing video games?
Playing video games. Surgeons who play video games at least 3 hours a week perform 27%
Eye-hand
faster
coordination,
and make
because
37%.
I
You-
get that, but I'm torn between a green because that is interesting and a red because I don't want my freaking doctor being the one playing Godzilla or whatever.
Yes,
I want
you
it to be freaking.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Well,
That's
but
fair.
You
I'll
got to
give you
understand, laparoscopic surgery, they're looking at a screen doing this with they go in. That's where they put just
not
2
like
little.
free-handed.
No, they
Okay.
they go through the 2 little holes. And
There you go, Joseph. Add it
So
to the
that's what they're
stats.
simulating is that's making them better at that.
That
I
makes
think
more
that's
sense.
yeah.
I was thinking that they were saying that them sitting there with steady hands is better. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm going to take the guy that's a little more mature than that.
In the 1980s, Frederick Bauer, the founder of Pringles, requested to be buried in a Pringles can. His children honored the request.
No way.
Yeah.
You're 2 for 2 on the day.
You know how big of a Pringles can that's got to be?
I wonder if they gave him Pringles with it too.
I got one more. We're running our numbers
I wonder if it
up.
has a pop top.
what flavor did he get buried at?
Yeah.
The New York Police Department had a police officer follow Andre the Giant whenever he went out drinking. Their job was to make sure he didn't get drunk and fall on anyone.
You're freaking killing it today.
That's awesome.
Whatever Facebook page you're on is BS because they just got so much better, and it's not fair.
Those are good. Those are good.
I still think my favorite one's the wombat poop.
Oh, I was about to judge you if you had one.
Favorite. It's everybody's favorite one.
It's just now you can't say poop because he's done so many on poop you know.
I'm pretty sure I gave him the wrong one on the wombat, didn't I? An X because I knew it already, or was that one a green?
I've gotten so many. I've had dozens of pictures of people send me stuff that they feel as though should be dinosaur turd size by now because we all agree, like, there's no way that metric is right. They found a baby T-Rex turd because they're like sending pictures of mud and they're like, this should be a dinosaur turd. I'm like, agreed, man.
They send stuff to me to show Warren. They're like, I haven't heard from Warren. I need you to show him this.
Well, guys, thank you for joining us. Sam, one more time, man. Plug your company. Go plug whatever it is that you're. I mean,
somebody wants to book a hunt with you. Where do they go?
Yeah, so our Alaska company is Renfro's Alaskan Adventures, and then the Africa stuff and deer hunting companies, Bullet Safaris, and Iowa Trophy Hunts.
Is that just like on your hat?
Yeah,
for Renfro's?
Yeah, just like that. Yep.
And you have a website and stuff they can go to?
Yep, Renfro's Alaskan Adventures. Google it's first thing that pops up. Yeah.
We can put
a link in there.
Yeah. But did we miss anything? Was there anything that you wanted to add, or did we? I felt like we covered things thoroughly. I thought Warren and Easton asked some great questions, things I hadn't thought of. Yeah. You know, so
we could. Yeah, Alaska's so big and so vast that you could spend weeks talking about it and really. But
well, we'd like to have you come back at some point and maybe talk more Africa or talk about something else. We'll wait till we'll give you at least 30 days after you get back so you get out of that like funk. We don't want you to have come in and just sit here and look at us weird. I mean, it would be all strange. You know, we'd be like, is he okay? You know, so
yeah, no, perfect. I think that covers pretty much everything.
We appreciate it. Thanks for coming, man.
Actually, I do have a wacky fact.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, well, yes. Let's see if old Sam can go 100%.
All right. First off, how many acres in Alaska do you guys think you can hunt on?
How many?
2.2 million.
No,
that's
dude.
just our
I'm
one area.
Thinking like,
oh, damn it.
48 mil.
There's 271 million acres of public ground in Alaska.
And that you can hunt on all of
that?
Well,
that's public ground, so that's including national parks and everything.
Okay.
So not all all that would be huntable.
Right.
Even if it was half, that's a lot.
Yeah, 271 million acres.
That was a good one. It's a lot of freaking land.
Yeah.
I can't even fathom how much that is.
That's why I can't believe that I'm 56 years old and I haven't been to Alaska. Whether it was fishing, whether it was just vacation.
If anything, you fall off a boat, you'll end up there or something.
Well, especially being of a hunter fisherman background and yet have never made it there. Right. I've been to Hawaii. I've been to all the other states, but oh well, I'll get there. It's coming sooner than later.
When that bug bites you, it's like it bites you hard.
Yeah,
Alaska's just amazing.
We'll go up there and run over to Russia too. Make it one big trip.
Gotcha.
I like Alaska State Troopers. You ever watch that?
That was filmed in Bethel.
Oh yeah.
Some of that.
That's why that sounds familiar. Yeah. Freaking said Bethel. I mean, you used to watch that all the time.
They had some interesting things they run into.
We can have that conversation off camera.
Yeah.
Well,
all right, we're gonna get out of here while these guys are discussing Alaskan Troopers or
Alaska State Troopers.
Alaska State
it's like
Troopers.
Cops, but the redneck version.
Gotcha. All right, guys, this is the Raised Hunting Crew signing off. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Nick.